Oh, here we are at the end of Disney Who, and we say goodbye to RTD2. Many of you need to grieve and move through the emotions that have been stirred up through this traumatic experience. We invite you to sit back and relax and meditate and ponder what the future holds for your favorite science fiction program. Your childhood hero may be gone from your immediate view, but he's still out there, somewhere. And now, the latest season overview, brought to you by JT and the Whotastic panel.
Here we go again then. Yes, we were all out there, weren't we, touching grass as we were told to do. But in back to hit him right in the face, didn't it? Hello, everybody. Yes, we're here. Nice to see you all. Welcome to Who's View. This is the big our season overview, everybody. We made it. We made it. We got here. That was a very long 8 weeks. Oh, goodness me. What was all that about? 8 weeks we've just had all together, but here we are. We got it through it, and I am absolutely delighted that we've done it. I'm so pleased that it's done. It's dusted. Oh, how are you lot then? Are you okay?
Not too bad. How you doing?
Oh,
are we okay? Yeah, are we all right? Good,
Is it
good.
chilly
As
up
you can see,
there?
I'm joined tonight by Kirsty, but Paul, and by Dr. Ian. Good to see you all. Lot to get through in this show tonight, guys. Who wants to kick off?
Well, as I put in my head in there, I can't remember a bloody thing about it, so you'll have to prompt me, Emilio, okay? I'm just saying that because you understand the whole plot of season 2, don't you? So
No. I'm just gonna say the whole season is absolutely pointless.
Yeah.
From my side, if you just take it as a piece of TV, and in terms of investing your time, none of what you watch, characters, plot, don't you wouldn't advise anybody else to sit down and spend 8 hours watching it because the whole thing is just pointless.
There's a question I want to ask everybody if you think this, if it's worth even considering. The first episode, the Robot Revolution, was that in Wish World? Was that in a different reality? What was going on there? Was that real life? What was it? I don't know.
Not a bloody clue.
It's a good question.
Me neither. That's why I'm asking you.
It's basically it happened, but then that whole thing is what kind of unwritten or rewritten, or Belinda's whole arc is rewritten. It's very confusing.
Well, it's really weird because it didn't happen. There was like a schism or something on the ship when she was taken from Earth to the robot planet, and something happened with her boyfriend who became the villain at the end because she changed time.
Yeah.
And I was wondering whether it had all been changed at that point anyway, because it never got explained anyway. And why was Mrs. Flood her neighbour, even though she was the Rani? I don't understand that either. Anyway, but yeah.
None
I've
of it
still
made
not
sense.
seen what Revolution and I don't care.
Oh, you've not seen it? No, yeah.
I think that's the best way to be. I mean, none of it made sense. He contradicted himself left, right, and centre. He contradicted established Doctor Who canon. I mean, it was just like an 8-week extended period of dysentery where, if it was, you'd be dead, wouldn't you? I mean, it's probably preferable, to be fair.
Well, death is preferable, I would say so, yeah.
Dysentery, it was probably much preferable than watching those 8 episodes because it was just horrendous, absolutely horrendous. God knows what he was doing. I don't think he knew himself what he was doing, to be fair. That killed it, didn't it?
Guys, listen, I'm having a few problems. I'll be back in a minute. You carry on.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it was. Yeah. I didn't see the point of it. I mean, it was an incredible amount of wasted money, wasn't it?
Oh
I mean,
God, yeah.
I think he
yeah.
just did things for. He did things for effect. I think. Let's introduce Belinda, and she's this amazing nurse who's telling doctors what to do, and she's the savior of the NHS and everything else. And she lives in this flat, and then down comes a big rocket. Let's do a big visual effects on that, and then send these robots in, smashing through a wall. It's all visual impact, but it had a real nasty side to it this season, and the Doctor was key to that nastiness as well, which just reinforces my view that this is an alternative RT Deviant universe. It's not the universe that we watched up to and including certainly 89. I would incorporate 96 in that as well, although it did get the Doctor a little bit kissy, didn't it? Which
that started. That was a slippery slope there.
Yeah, it really was. But I just don't think this is the Doctor Who from the universe that we would watch it in. So it can be alternate, and therefore it's in its own little shite.
Well, the main thing that I got for this entire season was just really lazy writing, really, and just complete repetition of old ideas, rehashing ideas. And we said this already, either stealing from classic or stealing from his own era, or redoing other episodes that he's already done. It's just dull, boring, repetitive stuff.
Well, or stealing from different IPs.
Yeah. But that has always been him. Like you say, stealing from himself. Where at the when the toy maker was defeated and the tooth was on the floor and a mysterious hand came and picked it up. That was straight at the end of time, wasn't it? When the Master's ring dropped to the floor and that was picked up by a mysterious hand. And he copies everything. He's absolutely shameless, but he probably thinks people are stupid and don't remember it.
But I think he even nicked that idea from somewhere else, didn't he? From another
Flash Gordon,
movie or something. Yeah. Prior to even that. Yeah. Was it Flash Gordon? Was it? Okay, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Ming the Merciless, his ring was on the floor, and I think somebody
I remember now.
picked that up at the end of that. But he's I don't know. I mean, he is an incredibly overhyped individual. I think he's still dining out on that one success that he really had with Queer as Folk in the late 90s. And if you really, and this will happen in the years to come, if you really analyze the work of Russell T Davies over the 21st century, I don't think it'll look that impressive, to be fair.
Well, it's already dated. Even looking at season 1 with Eccleston, it really has dated, not just visually, but in terms of cultural references, etc., etc. It's really dated very, very quickly, and it is only 20 years, really. So yeah,
it's ingrained with soap opera elements, isn't it? And it always has been right from day one. Rose and her family, and then her dad and her boyfriend and everything else. In some respects, you strip the sci-fi out of it, and it's just like any other tea time soapy drama, really.
Yeah.
I'm just going to interject here and say thank you very much to Darren Hebro. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Now calm down, but why didn't the Rani use the baby and wish a new Gallifrey into existence? Who knows?
Because he forgot about it halfway through the episode. He started it.
Yeah. That's way too clever for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
no ideas, including ideas.
I think you guys are right then. That zero creativity, right? It's creatively bankrupt the whole series as it is. But even the direction of travel that RTD wanted to go in terms of making the show more like fantasy, focusing on gods, right? All these all powerful gods. Well, the issue is if you're going to take that kind of direction, which you can do maybe you can get away with doing it for maybe a season or two max. If you're going to have these all powerful gods and you're trying to sell to an audience that these are bigger threat than the Daleks and the Cybermen and the Master, etc. Why the hell would you write them in a way that they are so bloody easy to defeat?
Yeah,
if you think about a toy maker, you think about he was beaten by a simple game of catch, We go to Lux. In Lux, he's defeated by, basically just going into the light. It's just, why, as an audience member, why am I going to believe that these are real threats, and the Doctor's going to be running scared if they can be beaten so easily? And I think that's because RTD didn't know what he wanted to do with it. What he wanted, I think, is quite deliberate, is to go down this fantasy mode, because that's where he thinks, Stranger Things and all the kind of the 2017, 2018 series was going in, and he wanted to be relevant. And at the same time, it gave him a great cop-out excuse to not have to think or work on building a world, logic to the world, how does things, explaining things that actually make rational sense. It just allowed him to embrace the lazy writing that you mentioned, Paul. And I think ultimately, like I say, everything is just devoid of any substance. Why should you, as an audience member, if you're watching it, if you're just a normie, why should you care about any of this?
Well, we're fans as well, and that's the thing. And you'd think we want to care about the Doctor, his companion, but I couldn't care less. And by the end of the season, I was like, "Bye, Ncuti. Thanks for coming." Just off you go. I don't really care. It's just there's no engagement at all. And we're all massive fans, and it's like if you've lost a fan base and they're not engaging with it, like you say, Emilio, the normies, the not we, have no chance at all. Really, it's incredible.
Yeah.
I'll just say as well. Sorry.
It's all right, Mom.
Well,
you go ahead.
Paul Thomas Ashworth, thank you very much again. Just what we've been talking about as well. For an atheist, RTD is obsessed with gods.
Yes.
And that's where the fantasy is. That needs to put a pin in that one. Mm-hmm. Carry on, boys.
And like you were saying, Emilio, because they are gods, they're so easily defeatable. That's really weird. But the Doctor's only so having a god, it's like the Black Guardian or whatever, something like that. That has to be a real powerful persona for the Doctor to be able to stop them, and he can't. It's extreme, case, isn't it? The stakes have to be really, really high for a god to turn up, and the Doctor defeats them. But there's no tension, there's no drama, there's nothing to make the Doctor. The Doctor should be standing up to these gods and having like Capaldi did, with one of these wonderful monologues they had, and fighting with the enemy. There's none of that. There's no tension, no drama, nothing.
No. If you compare it to like the Satan Pit and Impossible Planet, where the Doctor basically facing off the devil, it's not defeated very easily. They're really kind of coming from a losing position in that story. It's only basically because of the Envos basically opened the airlock and the beetle. But the thing is that we still don't know whether it was truly defeated, right? And I think that's also, so again, it's like you've got to make it hard work for the Doctor to overcome the obstacles, and there's literally like no obstacle to overcome.
Exactly. Yeah, no tension.
Exactly.
It's like when he regenerated. The fact the Doctor can ignite the regeneration like a superpower for no good reason other than to save the timeline so that Poppy survives. Where's the tension in that? When people say to you, how did the Doctor leave? How why Pertwee left? He was infected by the radiation from the blue cave in Planet Spiders from the Great One. Tom Baker fell from the telescope, the radio telescope in Logopolis, etc., etc. You can put your finger on how he left, why he left. But the Ncuti one's so contrived. It's like the one with Jodie as well. I've no idea really why she changed. It's just odd.
Yeah, and a lot of that is
trauma, did she?
Say that again.
Sorry. No, you go.
She didn't go through any trauma, did she? She didn't have anything that caused injury or illness or
not that we're aware of. No.
Debilitating. I mean, it was debilitating for us watching the silly cow, but I mean, it was absolutely nothing to the character, and the same with him as well. Just giving it up for this recently introduced young child that nobody really gave a crap about. Sorry, Amelia.
No. It's a great point. I was just going to say that I think what really works about John Pertwee's Regeneration is that it's really built into his kind of character kind of arc, in the sense that he's told by the Tibetan monk, I can't remember his name now. It's been a while since I watched that one.
Campo Rinpoche.
Yeah, that's it exactly. But he's kind of had to confront his kind of fears, if I remember correctly from watching it. And so it has a real character to beat. When the Doctor saves Wilf, right? There's a whole backdrop of the Time Lord victorious, hence the title of my thing. But basically, he had to save himself for one person. His arrogance, his ego got too big. Those regenerations are built on. There's a character, there's a story there that goes with it. It's not just the Doctor just dies, bam, regenerate. And I think the Ncuti one it doesn't have really any of that. And as
there's no Mavitas to it whatsoever.
No Mavitas. But also, why doesn't
that was never explained either?
Why doesn't the Doctor, whenever he's facing a real threat, why doesn't he just regenerate his energy and kill everything, and then he'll just regenerate every time? I mean, it loses the whole purpose of what regeneration is, but it just becomes like a magic superpower. The Doctor can just do whatever he wants with it, and this kind of started in the New Who era. I think even with like Matt Smith, when he regenerated first time, he blew up the Daleks, right? And then he regenerated the second time. So it's been coming. It's happened.
It kind of started in the Christmas Invasion. Look, the hand grows back. That kind of started even there.
That's fair, isn't it? I mean, Hartnell regenerated in the TARDIS, didn't he? And Troughton regenerated, God knows where the Time Lords did that to him. But the TARDIS didn't explode.
Clearly, in the TARDIS and Oxley would have gone to the War Games and Cullery, and where have you been?
Well, yeah, I do apologise, for not absorbing that.
Yeah, I've forgotten that one as well. Yeah,
murdering of that story. But I mean, Davison seemed quite an energetic regeneration into the sixth Doctor, but again, it wasn't explosive. Whereas this series has taken it, built on it, expanded it, trivialized it, and made it almost sometimes world-ending. You're right, Emilio. He destroyed the Dalek spaceship, didn't he? And then Capaldi was using it to pretend to regenerate, and then he was sharing the regeneration power to heal people, and it was just it was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
He's not Superman. He's never been Superman. You know what I mean?
No.
It's kind of, you can't have that kind of comic book type hero, can you? Really, it's not the same thing at all.
Did that thing as
You're
well.
on mute, JT.
Muted. No, muted. There we go. Thank you. Good to see you all. Well done, everyone. I don't know what is going on. I think it's my laptop. I don't think it's my actual internet connection. Lots of you in the chat listen to what the guys are saying there. Legion of James saying Ncuti's departure and phoned in performance clearly showed he had no interest or investment in playing the Doctor. All he wanted was to be the first black gay and to push his own agenda narrative.
Yeah, he could have done it on Zoom quite easily, But...
Yeah, he could have done, didn't he?
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Good to see you all. Cool Boys Backyard. Good evening, Doctor Who family. That's nice.
That's lovely.
We've got Killbot Kill saying a god defeated after eating an Indian meal. Who writes this rubbish?
Well, he's probably very sluggish after that.
We've got Digby here as well. Thank you for your super chat, Digby. I hate the inclusion of gods in Doctor Who. This was a sci-fi show that explained the universe rationally and didn't rely on convenient superpowers. Now that ties in. I heard what you were saying there, Paul, about that. This show has turned into some sort of superhero type lead, hasn't it, really? And therefore the show has changed around him.
Yeah.
And I still think, Who viewers, we were warned about this in 2023, where Russell T. Davies did say he was going to take the show away from sci-fi and make it more fantasy. Didn't even do that, did he?
Yeah, he didn't. No.
But sci-fi is problematic.
Well, the question is why? Because it's never been problematic before, has it? Let's be honest.
Well, it's all in his head, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think he even thought about what the ramifications that would be on the show, right? Because the minute you go to gods, you make everything else in the universe feel so small, if that makes sense. It makes, when you watch the Satan Pit, you like the fact that you get that odd occasional episode that shows that there may be more to the universe beyond things. And that's really what it should be. If you've got gods every week, the Master, the Dalek, the Cybermen in the future are not going to feel like a threat at all, are they, in comparison to how you set this up? So even within the world, it's not really, you're not doing what's best for the show. yeah, doing whatever RTD thinks he wants to do. He gets excited about, oh, I watched Stranger Things, I'm going to do that in Doctor Who, basically. That's how he thinks, isn't it?
That's the problem, isn't
Yeah.
it? Because he watches everything else. He says that Doctor Who should be with all that sort of stuff, and yet he doesn't realise that Doctor Who should be a completely different show. I'm quite glad it's all over, says Dr. Dread. This way, Doctor Who is a lovely memory from my childhood with floppy hats and long scarves. All the gay stuff is over and forgotten. Well, let's just hope that RTD is out of the picture as well. And PTA saying, if gravity has become Mavity, I hate that, because of the Doctor interfering in the past, then why hasn't every other historic Who story been affected from the future? It's a good point.
Yeah,
it's a good point.
Well, like we said, none of this been thought through logically. When fandom question, where's the David Tennant Doctor who by regenerating? Where's he? Oh, he's dead. He says, because he can't think of a reason why he's still alive. Because the by regeneration's a lousy idea and not being thought through at all. You know, it's like he can't answer any questions about it at all.
No, we can't.
I thought the whole by regeneration thing meant that all the previous Doctors were still alive elsewhere, so he couldn't.
And that
be
makes
dead.
no
That's
sense at all, does it? Let's be honest.
No, it doesn't. It makes absolutely no sense. But then he just swaps it on a dime, doesn't he?
Although having said that, Ian, I'd love to see then the Planet Spiders when Tom and John are still there, both together fighting for the TARDIS.
Can you imagine?
But the annoying thing about it is you didn't need by generation for that, because as fans we know that each Doctor is in their time zones, in their own time streams.
Yeah.
So they're all alive anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's time travel. And if we look at the two Doctors, you've got Colin. Happy birthday, Colin, by the way. You know, and you've got Colin and you've got Patrick meeting. You've got the sixth and the second Doctor meeting there, out in their own time streams, but crossing. Now that can happen anytime. You didn't need by generation for that.
Exactly. Yeah.
He was just so desperate to do something to be different and to be novel. Instead of doing it the proper way and having Ncuti's version of the Doctor just turning up and saying to the Tennant Doctor, "Hello, you're going to need me," and making it big and bad, he had to be clever and do this stupid thing. It's because he's a fan. Everything has to link up. Everything with him has to go from A to B to C, I think. Shaggy Dabby Dank. Thank you very much, Shaggy Dabby Dank. I love that. That's brilliant. It's a real shame 15 didn't have more time with setup like Ice in My Heart. I thought we were aiming for a Valyard by generation eventually, says Shaggy. Thank you for your super chat. The plan was that he would have had time. And Darren Hembrow, thank you for your super chat, Darren. I don't know what the under name of Merthyr Tydfil I saw, but he brought some shame on those Swansea people. I don't know what you're saying there. Oh, bless you, Darren. Don't let him. Tube Jester is with us, guys. Hello, Tube Jester. The show needs a complete reboot, fresh start with a new Doctor from an alternative universe where the mystery of this eccentric alien in a time machine starts afresh. Now, Ian's got a theory about that, haven't you, Ian?
Yeah, I just think this was I call it the RT Deviant universe personally, just because I hate him. But I just think everything from 2005 was alternate universe, and that's that. That then means it can be just disregarded, and we can still enjoy classic. And what he did to Sutek doesn't matter. What he did to Omega doesn't matter. All the things that he said about bi-regeneration, Time Lords, Timeless Child, all that absolute big bucket of horse toss is just gone. We don't have to pay any attention to it whatsoever. It can exist in its own little microcosm, and it doesn't touch anything that we enjoyed when it was being produced properly with sane people and grown-ups doing it.
Exactly. And I quite like that, actually. I quite like, and you can do that from any time you want to. You can do it from 89, you can do it from 96, you can do it from 2005, you can do it from 2017. You can do it from any time you want. When it's science fiction, everything's possible. Unless you're RTD. Mark Greaves, hiya mate. Thank you for your super chat. Hi panel, congrats on surviving after 8 weeks of trauma. I need to watch something that's more light-hearted and jolly. Schindler's List, maybe. Maybe. Glenn Piper saying you can bet good money that David Tennant was penned to be on the season 3 finale, says Glenn Piper. Cool Boys Backyard saying, would you welcome a rebooted Doctor Who start from scratch, a new universe with a new timeline and not connecting with the current series? Disney, with their power, could cast huge name actor like Jude Law. Well, Disney have gone. We've got to get over that. I didn't really want them there in the first place. Guys, what's your answer to Cool's Backyard there?
Well, I mean, I think if we had a restart that did kind of just start as the Doctor traveling in time and space with a companion fighting monsters, like we've all said all along, would be great. And just start from there. And don't reference anything at all. You can have the Daleks and whatever, Cybermen, but don't reference anything at all. about previous Doctors, or let's leave nostalgia behind if we can. That'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair. It'd be nice to just bring it back. I'd like it to be a continuation, just because, or out of respect for Hartnell and all the other previous Doctors. But like Paul says, forget the numbering of Doctors. The one little bit of classic series lore that I would like to drop is that line from the Deadly Assassin, because that's what did it all with 12 regenerations.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I would just continue it, but not back reference and not number future Doctors, and just occasionally have Daleks, Cybermen, and the odd renegade Time Lord, maybe even a new one. God knows.
JT, someone mentioned in the chat just there about Tennant coming back in season 3 finale.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me if that did happen, if there was that option with Disney, if it was going to continue. And I actually thought potentially that the by Regeneration may have been like a kind of one-off, a kind of like it was happened by accident or whatever. And then what would happen is they'd merge with David Tennant and then they'd start again. That's what was going to happen, probably. But that wouldn't surprise me if they're going down that road, because that's as lazy as it gets. You know what I mean?
There's lots of rumours going around about that this week, but they are all fan rumours. Digby Strawbridge, thank you for your super chat. I hate the inclusion of gods in Doctor Who. This was a sci-fi show that explained the universe rationally and didn't rely on convenient superpowers. The Doctor wasn't a superhero, though, until recent times. He just wasn't a superhero. He was a Time Lord on the run. What was wrong with that storyline? Lee Smith's asking, any decision from Disney? There's been nothing official. However, you can more or less start speculating, as I've been doing. They've walked. We've
I think
heard,
they'll probably run. I think probably.
Yeah. We've heard from somebody that was not working on Doctor Who, but has friends that were, that the Disney actually gave notice, as it were, that they weren't going to fund things around about December 24, January 25. Hence why there were reshoots, and the reshoots were there, allegedly paid for by the BBC, to try and round this thing off so that they could bring it back when they've got themselves sorted. Now, whether or not they knew what Russell was going to do with the reshoot by bringing in Billy Piper at the end of it is another matter. We don't know about that, but stay tuned. We're going to try and find out. God help us.
The bizarre thing about that is, but I've said all along, that the TV doesn't work like that, does it? They said that we'd have to wait till after season 2 for Disney to make a decision. They don't work like that. They need to plan things so they get plenty of notice. They wouldn't just drop them like that. They'd have to plan things more effectively. They don't just drop them like a hot potato, do they? Let's be honest.
Exactly. SideQuest Nerd is saying yes, a full reboot. I keep saying, don't I? If they'd had the balls, if RTD had had the balls and not thought with a fan head and rebooted it from 2005 and made it Doctor One Day One, none of this would matter.
Yeah.
Whether or not it'd been a success, I don't know. But it wouldn't have mattered that they did an unnecessary gender change. It wouldn't have mattered that they made the guy not gay, but queer, because it was a totally different Doctor. But no, they had to make it something continuous, just like they're trying to do now. And Lee Smith, we need a Doctor Who fans writers room. You just had that for 20 years.
Yeah.
Time
we
to
need
move on.
non-fans doing
You
it.
go
People
back-
with more imagination,
You go back 35 years. We've had it for 20 years, but you go back, say, 30, 35 years, and they were all sat together in a certain tavern in London, weren't they? Just churning out the same drivel and ideas and everything. And they just got the opportunity to put it on screen. And this is where it ended up. That's why you should never give it to fans, ever. The best times for Doctor Who was when it was never, ever produced and controlled by fans, I think.
Just watch Christopher Eccleston, says Gary Hewitt. Hi, Gary. And I remember the good old days. 2025 is just horrific in every way. What were we saying before we came on, guys, about the original start of this modern era?
Well, I think, it is kind of, it's starting to look a bit dated, I have to say. It's still, Eccleston's still good, some good moments in it, but looking back at it, it's not wearing very well, in my opinion, in terms of being dated now. But
from my
Everything
side, having been brought up with on New Who, when I was watching I watched the Unleashed to my
so did I. Yeah,
I had an hour and a coffee shop to do nothing. So I thought, oh, you know what, I'll just watch it. And it was.
You watched it in public? That's embarrassing, isn't it?
I hid away in the corner, Paul.
I had the curtains drawn in my house when I was watching it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Both of you very wise.
But yeah, I guess I got when they were going through especially the 2005. I think kind of basically up to Capaldi. The final half an hour is on Whittaker, and I honestly kind of get through a lot of that rubbish. But it did make me sad. It made me feel really. My first emotion was sadness, because I do look back on that first era with a lot of fondness, and there's great stories in there, and it's what got me into Doctor Who, and now got me into that was a gateway for me to get into Classic Who as well. So yeah, like it's really sad to see just how far it's gone to be honest, in a relatively short space of time. And I'm not sure if Kirsty feels the same way, but it's just the story. They're going through Eccleston Doctor and Tennant, and you mentioned some of the stories, and you're like, gosh, I mean, I would bite your hand off for A Family of Blood, Human Nature, or Blink, or Impossible Planet, and I know you guys, for you guys, maybe that you'll be nostalgia for Genesis of the Daleks and stuff like that. I mean, not to say that those stories and New Who are good at that, but the bar was still high, and the bar is so low, and it's just sad. It's just sad to watch it back and go,
Emilio, I'd bite your hand off for another episode of Love and Monsters compared to this crap, honestly.
At least there's something. At least it makes sense. At least it's logical. At least there's something you can take from that episode. But yeah, incredibly sad. It's probably the word.
We've got Matt 532 saying to us, my 15-year-old son hated the reality war so much he rewrote a script and it was so much better. I'm sure that's actually been happening an awful lot.
Your son for showrunner. There we are.
Glenn Piper saying, does anyone listen to BBC Radio? They buried Doctor Who on it, and I thought that was interesting and shows there are people in the BBC against what's happened. There is a lot, actually. There is a lot from what I'm hearing, Glenn. And Dr. Dredd, I think if we get a company like Sky to make a one-off Doctor Who movie, not connected to any TV era, and it appeared in cinemas like all other films, it could be an interesting experiment. The problem you've got is that Doctor Who will be, and will always stay, a BBC product. The BBC are not going to let anybody else get their grubby little protuberances on it. It's their property, and it stays with the BBC. I have no problem with that. It's just that the BBC need to actually get their acts together.
Yeah. I think what this last series showed that the New Who format it doesn't work anymore for TV. It's had its day. The 45-minute format doesn't work. And I do think if you bring Doctor Who back, I think you need to go back to more serialized stories. I think whether it necessarily follows the exact same template as it did in Classic Who, maybe you could have each week a free passer, right? It runs on a Friday, Saturday night, and Sunday night, and you watch part 1, part 2, part 3 over the space of a weekend, basically, or something like that. But I think it needs stories that can breathe, can really help you develop character, that allow you to invest, rather than the kind of rushed, like you're on a sugar high, kind of version of Doctor Who. It worked in 2005 because you had the balance of two-parters, but I think it's moved on from that. So the format definitely needs to change going forward.
Thank you, PTA, for your super chat. Don't reboot, but continue in an alternate universe. Shaggy's back with us as well. Thank you again for another super chat there. It's quite telling. Classic Who ended after 7 Doctors. Now New Who is where it's at after 6 mainline Doctors. It might be time for a break after 16's run. I would say now is the time for the break, to be quite honest.
I don't think 16's going to get a run. If you're talking about Billy, that's not going to happen.
There's no way Billy Piper's going to be playing Doctor Who. It's not going to work, especially after the backlash this week in the United Kingdom, where people have just said, "Oh, get a grip," and it has actually put that last nail in the coffin. That news as well. People, the Notwees, especially the public, the press, have gone around going, "You are kidding me. That's desperate." Everyone can now see it. But thank you, Shaggy, for that one as well. Can we really still call this thing New Who? It's 20 years old. I just put it out there. And Mark, thank you, Mark Crease, for your super chat. Tennant is Piper, and at the end, he's gone full trans. I'm sure he'd love all that as well. Bedweir's here as well, saying, I agree with Emilio. Watching that Unleashed special just made me feel sad. I never watched it, but it's a shame it wasn't a joyous about celebrating it all. And
well, they glossed over Eccleston very quickly as well, and it focused on Billy being the main draw for season 1 and 2. And then, they, like you said, Emilio, they glossed over Capaldi as well very quickly.
They did,
and concentrated more on Ncuti and Jodie towards the end. They had a massive chunk of the program, but they never touched on the fact that Billy was the new Doctor at all, really, did they?
No. It was lovely to see Arthur and Karen, because they don't really talk really too much apart from the odd convention around Doctor Who. So it was lovely to hear from them about their time. And again, it just made you go, wow, like, you know, that you were invested in those characters. You know, Matt Smith, Arthur Darvill and Karen Gillan had great chemistry, great natural chemistry together, and they did feel like a family unit. And you just go, wow, I just want to go back and watch series 5 now. Just, you know,
it shows how rough the documentary was, because most of the contributors were doing it over Zoom, which was like, really?
Well,
so
because it was all done. Don't forget, it was done last minute. The reason
last minute, that's what I mean. Yeah, so there's not any caretaking with it. It's just like wham bam, let's get it out kind of thing, you know. Which is,
if you don't know, the reason that this Unleashed thing came about was because RTD wasn't going to do anything to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Reboot Who, because he thought it would confuse the public after celebrating the 60th anniversary just a couple of short years ago, quite rightly too. But then he saw the Radio Times covers. He saw the fact that people like us were celebrating with various shows in March this year. We weren't actually celebrating. We were sort of, you know, marking the anniversary as a bit of respect. And then the pennies dropped for him. And he thought, oh, hang on. So very quickly, the production company who does it was all put back together, weren't they? And they did something, and it doesn't look as if it was as big as people were expecting. Sean Cryer is saying he thinks, I do, because this show doesn't work with the BBC. He thinks that, again, Sky or somebody like that can take it over. The BBC are not going to give it to them. They might go into partnership with them, like they've just done with Disney, like they did with Fox and Universal all those years ago. But they're not going to hand it over. It's their property still, Sean. And Sean's also saying, Emilio, I don't agree. Multi-part 45 minutes work fine. Sorry, Sean, I'm actually going to disagree with you again. I don't. I think their time is done. I would rather have a return to the 30-minute episodes and have the thing in a serial format. It's probably more likely at this stage that we're going to get 3 or possibly 4 60-minute to 90-minute television movies a year.
Yeah.
That's what
I think the two-parters worked better when they did them. They were much better. The Empty Child, Dr. Dancy's, that kind of thing was better, because it had a chance to stretch the character development, the narrative a bit more, than rather than this rushed, let's just do a reverse everything back to the start and everything's fine in 45 minutes kind of format, which is fairly crap, you know.
But one of the things about Doctor Who, one of the things about classic Doctor Who that everybody remembers, isn't just the doctors, the companions, the monsters and everything else. It's that visceral enjoyment, if I can call it that, of the end of episode cliffhangers. That was one of the vital things, and yet they filtered it out of most of the stories in those 20 years. You know, it's a handful of two-parters, really, when you think about it. And to miss that vital element out, it was a huge thing. Yeah. And they just didn't represent it.
Moments like Lynx and the Time Warrior taking these helmets and things like that are amazing, aren't they? And that's what you want.
And then they did it again.
Yeah.
They did it again the next season with Sontaran Experiment, virtually the same, you know, and it worked again because it was a different set of characters, and it was a different doctor, it was a different scenario and everything else. Wonderful stuff. And they just didn't bother.
And if you take, for example, sorry, just quickly, if you take the Dr. Dancer's Empty Child, the cliffhanger to that great, where, you know, the gaff mask zombies in the hospital, and you sit there as a kid wondering how the Doctor going to get out of this, and then you love it when it goes into the straight episode, and the next episode he goes, go to your room.
Your room, yeah,
exactly, which is brilliant. But as a child, you should be left to imagine, even for one night or 1 week, whatever it is, how the Doctor going to get out of this.
It's sad that while you're talking about stuff that was happening all those years ago, I'm thinking looks, I'm thinking Lucky Day, I'm thinking story and the engine, and that impact wasn't there. That whole body of work that was there for 2005 onwards, for me, has now been tainted slightly, and it might be there for quite a while. because some of those standout episodes were absolutely Doctor Who. I'm talking things like The Empty Child, etc., etc. There were elements in those early years that were my Doctor Who. Not all, but some I saw. This series, as you'll know, if you're a regular viewer, every Sunday here on Who's Views to our reviews of the episode, I didn't see the Doctor. I didn't get the feeling of Doctor Who. Yes, I saw a police box every now and then. I saw something that vaguely reminded me of the console room. I didn't see anything else in the stories, the performances. I certainly didn't want him mincing Ninny as the Doctor. That should never have been allowed, Russell, you idiot. And the stories were just so busy tick boxing and being DEI friendly that they forgot what Doctor Who is. Carly Dock is with us saying RTD must have had issues with Disney and the BBC and just thought I'll stick it to him with these two scripts. Wouldn't surprise me. And our John is saying I think the Unleashed was funded by the Welsh Tourist Board. Now that wouldn't surprise me either. I mean, I know it was an independent business that were doing this Unleashed program. I've forgotten the name of them now because I wasn't following it. But a lot of you in the chat saying you've heard rumors, and there are lots of rumors around this week. We know that about other spin-off series that are coming after the next one. There isn't. There is because who's going to pay for it? Who's got the money? Certainly the BBC, if they're going to do something on their own, and I mean BBC Studios, not BBC, they cannot do a spin-off series. They would have to go back to what we've been saying, guys, for years. Get your main show established over 3 or 4 years properly, get a fan base, get the public, and then do a spin-off like they did back in 2005.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just go into it now.
Going back to the elements of this season, you mentioned the story of the engine. Whose idea thought, what a great setting for Doctor Who? It's in a barber shop. How exciting.
Well, we know the answer to that one. It was Who saying to Who, do something like you did on your play. Stewie T, nice to see you with your little Lego. What's his name? Grogu there. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Doctor Who used to be a huge part of my childhood on a Saturday night. Now I wouldn't even let my kids watch it. It's a huge disgrace. Shameful RTD. We're not going to question that at all, are we?
No, that's absolutely
we agree with you. I mean, the last 8 weeks, Who viewers, as you know, if you've been a regular viewer on the show, I mean, I thought last year was bad. This year was worse. You know, honestly, this thing just really exhausted me so much this year. It was 8 incredibly long weeks, and then to be, I don't know, ghosted, if you like, by that bloody ending. I mean, all these things that he set up since the Tennant thing, and now it could possibly be coming off for a good few years. Do any of us care that none of it was answered?
Well, I do, because I feel really annoyed because as a viewer, you're completely cheated by the fact he's not explaining anything at all. And if you're going to do reshoots, you have to think about how it works through the series. So you knew in March, whatever, before the show was launched, that you were changing bits. So why did they have Carl Ann Ford still in it for 2 or 3 bits? She should have been out there completely. You know what I mean? It's bizarre, you know?
It's a total waste. It's absolutely ridiculous of what was going on there. And it's just such a shame that after all these years, Carol Ann Ford is brought into a series that was an abysmal failure, a massive flop, to the point where they had to rewrite the ending.
But what was the point, Megan? He knew at that point when the reshoots it was ending, right? Or the end of this particular run with Disney. So you have to bring it to an end. Yeah. And the last 2 episodes, you had almost like 2 hours worth of material, and you couldn't tie it up in 2 hours. Surely you could if you're a decent writer. Surely, you know.
But he didn't even need to do that. He didn't even have the class that Cartmel and John had back in '89 to just have the Doctor and the companion walking off into the sunset.
Yeah.
He didn't even have that, because that leaves it open to whoever comes back to just start again, and then you're always wondering. Marie UK, thank you for your super chat. A lot of companies now are stopping all this virtue signaling and taking down the LGBTQ plus flag. The BBC needs to catch up, and they need to sack RTD. Thank you.
They definitely need to ban him from going anywhere near it ever again. I think we give him too much credit when we say he didn't tie up all the loose ends. I don't think that he actually knew how to tie up the loose ends. I don't think he had any plan. It's just all about, let's throw different things in there. Mavity being a case in point. Let's throw them all in there and just leave them. I don't know where to take them after that.
Well, he did say himself, didn't he? He did say in himself that I don't need to explain things. And that in itself is a lazy attitude to take. as a writer.
Yeah.
You can't, you
That's
not
trying
explain
to
anything. That's crazy,
brazen-
you know. Yeah.
That's trying to brazen out the fact that he doesn't know. He's trying to make it look like it's a plan when actually it's just like rabbit in headlights. He's got no idea.
He told us why he'd done it. He said, I'm doing things to generate content for the Twitter social media age. That's exactly what. So it's keeping Susan in, right? If you're thinking about what best for the character, what best for the story, I completely agree with you guys. When you did the reshoot, just remove her. Move her. Show, maybe you can show somebody else. Show Rogue appearing when the Doctor's in space or whatever.
You didn't
whatever
even
you
need
want.
the bits with Susan in any way,
exactly.
Emilio, in the context of the episodes. You know what I mean? It's bizarre.
Well, what he's thinking is, we're in the mud here. I need to try and generate as much content as possible to try and so that I can sell this off to show, the let's say Guy or whoever or Amazon. Look how many people tweeted about this character. Look at this data. And it's the same with the Billy thing at the end. It's exactly the same. It rather than letting, as you guys say, it cut to black or the Doctor goes off into the sunset. No, he had to have this gimmick dump move because to try and generate content, to try and show that the production company that the show still garners interest based on social media. That's exactly why he does it. And I think to be honest, he's stupid enough to be so blunt and honest on the Unleashed about the fact that that's something he's deliberately trying to do.
Yeah.
If that had been the case, it would show how ridiculous he actually is. Chris Lawley, thank you for your super chat. Paraphrasing the 10th Doctor, do you think RTD looks tired? That's an understatement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I interject with that? If you know me, I accidentally sometimes my hands slip on my phone and my keyboard, and I accidentally said that on a certain RTD's Instagram the other day.
Cool.
And then on the Doctor Who Reddit, I was like, there's someone online who said he looked tired. They're really rude. That's me. Hi guys, thanks.
Well, good for you, because it's an understatement, isn't it, really? And we've got lots of people with us tonight, all of whom, or the majority of whom, will be not happy, let's face it. But the one thing you're going to do, if you're going to do a business deal and you're going into co-production with somebody, especially with someone like Doctor Who that's been going for such a while, and our industry, the show business industry, is in a mess right now, and production is in a mess. They're all desperately trying to scrabble to find the next big hit, the thing that are going to bring the viewers in, etc., etc. One thing you would look at are the ratings. And let's just remind ourselves about this year's ratings on the overnights only. The Robot Revolution, 2.0 million. Lux, 1.58 million. The Well, 1.9 million. Lucky Day, 1.5 million. Story in the Engine, 1.5 million. Interstellar Song Contest, 2.57 million. Wish World, 1.83, and The Reality War, 2.17. Now, at the moment, anybody in business would turn around and say, all right, so basically your audience for Doctor Who is roughly now around about the 2 million mark.
Yeah.
We want more than that. So it opens up a can of worms, isn't it? So if the BBC and BBC Studios, please, what day of the week it is, do they, obviously? If they're relying on RTD, as they've sort of suggested in the Radio Times and press releases and stuff, he's already got series 3 and 4 outlined. Don't do it, because it's going to be more of the crap. Don't go with it. We've just had 16 ridiculous episodes which have destroyed, following Chibnall as well, by the way, destroyed the show. That's it. You've lost your fan base.
For a laugh, everyone watching us right now, share this out, and eventually, however many people share it out, it's going to get to the point that we'll have more viewers than the last episode did.
Yes.
The point.
Yeah. If you are new to our channel, thank you for joining us. It's great to see you. Please make sure you've subscribed to the channel. Give us a like as well. Lots coming up for you as well. This might be the end of the Gatwa era. It might be the end of the modern version of Doctor Who as we know it. It's not the end of what we've got planned for you. John Steed, I think Caroline Ford had a lucky escape as Gatwa was leaving because her character stays intact. Yeah, and there's a mystery there, Paul, I suppose, if anybody in the future wants to pick it up with Carol if they want to, but also they don't need to, because let's face it, she was in the Interstellar Song Contest, 2.57. She also had a sort of very a small thing in the Wish World, 1.83. nothing at all in the Reality War 2.17. No one's going to remember.
Nobody saw her. Yeah,
No.
exactly. Yeah.
And
Did
the
you
majority
see-
of fandom don't care.
Did you see the what the theory was, or what the original ending was about the Carl for looking on with Poppy saying, as she got Poppy by the hand, "Come on, Mum, let's go." You know, that was partly what was
And we have to say that actually is probably what happened, because we've shown it before. We're going to show it again right now. This was from the original ending of the series, where the Doctor did not regenerate, and where they're celebrating May Day at some sort of party thing here, whether it be in a club or whatever. I would imagine it's a club. Yet Susan is there with Poppy, which was another story element. Poppy, how did she get from where she was in the Reality War to where she was in Space Babies? Did I miss that?
No.
Yeah.
Because she just appeared randomly, didn't she, in the story in the engine for like a second, the child in Nigeria. And then all of a sudden, Poppy is the most important baby or person. And I was listening to one of a YouTube reviewer who counted the number of times the name Poppy was mentioned in the finale. 56. 56 times. 56 times.
I mean, talking about a shoehorned in character. I mean, who wanted Poppy back? Let's be honest. You're a lovely little girl, but who wanted that character back? I mean, really.
No one. No one. It shows how desperate he was to try and. I honestly don't know who viewers. What the hell was he on? What was he smoking? What was he taking when he's writing?
I'll have what he's having. That's what you want to, or maybe not.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't know, because I wouldn't know what day of the week it was.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be like living through the 90s again, where we were all just munging around. Anyway, but it's a case of like, what was he doing? What was he thinking? This is a guy who said he was a Doctor Who fan. This is a guy who brought back the show to immense success. We know that. We're fed up of hearing about it. We know that. But that's also down to the fact we were here to support him as well.
Yeah.
So from the Tennant thing onwards, changed it all completely to fit his new version of what he wanted to write, because he didn't have the balls to write something similar, because he knew it wouldn't be picked up. So he's put it all into Doctor Who, I think. What the hell was he doing? Why would a fan deliberately go out and build on the crap from Chibnall, his friend?
And sabotage the show,
And sabotage the show. I don't understand this. And that's what's wound me up through these 8 episodes, having to sit through these awful, bloody things every Saturday night so we can all get together and criticize it. And I'm thinking, this isn't Doctor Who. It's a glorified soap opera. That one in the barbershop, what the hell was that? The one with the cartoon character needed more I said this on the shows, didn't it? It needed a decent script editor to say to him, look, another rewrite or two, please. Let's get there.
And why did they come out of the TV screen into a room where Doctor Who fans were?
Oh, I'd forgotten about that. Thanks very much.
I mean, why was that ever considered to be a real scene in that episode? What a pointless waste of time that was.
Yeah. Completely cut any sort of tension that they were building in the cinema, which was a good location, and it felt a little bit more Doctor Who-y in the first 15, I remember 20 minutes of Lux. So then that came in, and it completely took everybody out of the episode. It's like, what the hell is this here?
I see what you're saying.
You're head in your hands there. You didn't see that episode, did you? So you know what we're talking about, with the fans being on the screen. Very, very stereotypical Doctor Who fans as well.
A decent script editor wouldn't have allowed that in, and he shouldn't have even tried to be clever with that one, because that was just bull. It was really bull. I see what you're saying about the start of Lux, Emilio, because there was an element in it where it was nearly there, and then Gatwa turns up with whatever her name is, with that annoying companion who we're going to have to talk about her, because what was she for? And had a decent actor who understands the Doctor. Been there, an Erin Bernard, somebody like that with a presence, who looked like the Doctor, acted like the Doctor, had a script that spoke like the Doctor, that might have worked.
Yeah.
Because
I said that in my review for Lux when I sent it to you, because I couldn't do that one, and I said I was really enjoying it until the Doctor and the companion turned up. That's exactly what happened.
Let's just say hello to IN here. Didn't the BBC tell JT in response to his complaint that RTD is an independent contractor, so he doesn't need to be sacked as they don't employ him in the first place? Yes, they did. That was it when I complained, a couple of years ago, earlier last year. That's what they got back and said to me. Yes, he's nothing to do with them. So it was basically nothing to see here. And they've done that a lot, because practically everybody that works for the BBC now is an independent contractor. So they've had it with Lineker, and they've had it with others. probably more since all that
But
incident.
they are still technically employed by the BBC indirectly because they're obviously subcontracting it. So there's still a connection. That's just nonsense, isn't it?
It is. We've got Stewie saying to us here, I think the BBC forget that this is license payers' money and they are spending. So maybe do the common courtesy of listening to us and taking our feedback on board. I've still not found out, Stewie, how much of the license fee money was going into Doctor Who. BBC Studios, of course, is an independent, paid for by the sales of the show, paid for by partnership deals, and paid for, as we know as Doctor Who fans, by merchandise sales. And they've had a lot of money from a lot of us over the last 50-something years.
Did Disney fully fund the whole 2 series, or did the BBC chuck in some money as well? Do we
The
know
BBC,
that?
allegedly, from what I heard, Paul, BBC Studios did put some money in. I did hear back in the day that the BBC had put some money in to order the thing. I can't collaborate that. I don't know if that's true. I've never been able to find out. One day it might come out, especially if the show's off air, it might come out. But Disney put in a lot more money than them.
Yeah.
The carcass, it's a state when you have to watch Unleashed to find out what RTD had planned.
Yeah, I do that every week to get the episode explained, because he explained the bits he didn't write into the episodes.
And you shouldn't have to, should you?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been saying this. Paul's been going on to watch Unleashed just to understand what was going on.
Yeah, or ask Emilio. That's the other thing I would do as well.
We've got David. Hello, David Shaw. Hope you're well. Hi, panel. I got a Doctor Who book. David Tennant. There are different Doctor Who books. I watched Silver Nemesis last night at 7 p.m. Good days. Silver Nemesis.
I love Silver Nemesis.
That's coming up in our reviews as we get ready to celebrate 60 years of the Cybermen next year, everybody. I've got a few plans for that, which I'm trying to get off the ground. Excellent. More of that coming as and when. But yeah, our reviews, we're going to be picking up. We started earlier this year, didn't we, guys? We're going to pick up some more, and then we're going into next year to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Cybermen. So stay with us. Thanks, David. I'm glad you enjoyed Silver Nemesis. It's probably controversial today, to be quite honest, for crying out loud. And Julianne's with us. Just terrible writing, awful. Not just bad Doctor Who, but bad television. Utter cobblers. I love that saying. The only question is, if it's intentionally awful or if he thinks it's clever, I wouldn't let him write name tags. I reckon he thinks Julianne is clever.
Yeah,
I think he thinks he's clever. Yeah.
And
he's not thinking he's not clever, that's for sure. Yeah. So.
Well, I think it's because all the idiots around him, sorry, but kiss his ass.
Yeah. I think there's an element of intimidation with RTD because he is a very imposing figure. He's overweight, in my opinion, and he's about 6'4".
He's a big guy.
So he's an intimidating figure. I mean, I'm 6'2". And when he was standing near me at that thing in Wales, in Cardiff, I was looking not quite the same impact that, say, when you're standing next to Tom Baker or John Pertwee, who are also very tall individuals. You'd be like, wow, they really, because they're bigger than they seem. Whereas he was just, to me, a tall, fat man. But I can see how he can impose himself on people. And then when he just talks and has that rictus grin with his teeth always out, he can probably batter people down with his opinions. So, yeah, people daren't say no to him.
He also has, Ian, the power of hire and fire.
Yeah.
We know all about that. Mr. Eccleston.
Career maker, career breaker.
Yeah. Mr. Alfie Jack, thank you so much. What's this news for me? Alfie's saying to us, quote, for those of you on the podcast, "It's my divine right," said RTD on that 29th documentary. What?
There's a clip on, I think it's the Alan Yentob Imagine documentary did, and he did a quote about, "It's my divine right to come back and do Doctor Who," or something like that. Or what's that effect? Yeah.
What a pompous git.
Yeah. I think he was joking, but I'm sure there's an underlying truth in there as well, though. Yeah.
Oh, right. Russell, if you're watching, please come on the show. We've got a few things for you to talk to you about. Please do come on. I'd love to know. And Dr.
He's
Dread,
a bully. He's not that brave.
Dr. Dread wants to know something that we're all asking ourselves every day in the UK. What's a television license? Okay, so very quickly, Dr. Dread, for you. Here in the United Kingdom, when you buy a television, to this very day, you must register it with the TV licensing agency, which is the British Broadcasting Corporation. To watch live television, including the BBC's rivals and including any channels such as Sky Live, you have to have a license. That money goes to the upkeep of the BBC, i.e., well, it used to go to program making, but now it goes towards staffing, taxis, possibly nice lunches or dinners, anything else that they need to do. It also goes towards meetings with external production companies such as BBC Studios or Bad Wolf or whomever, to put partnerships in to produce their programs, because there's no programs on the BBC these days that is made entirely by them. Doctor Who was the last one. The rest of them, even Blue Peter, has now gone into pen. Yeah, so that's a TV license, and basically, if you don't have a television license and you are watching live television here in the UK on any channel, you can be fined or even imprisoned. It's so out of date, it's unreal, unbelievable. However, in the last couple of years, we have seen thousands, if not millions, in fact, it's millions now, isn't it, guys, of people cancelling their license fee and not watching live television because of their dissatisfaction with the BBC through various things like Doctor Who, and their politics, their news is terrible. The rise of platforms like YouTube and the alternative media that the BBC tries to shut down before it even gets going is on there. And they're proving popular and gaining in ground. So there you go, in a nutshell. We're very backwards in some things, and in my opinion, the TV license is one of them. An astronomical one. Thank you for your super chat. How do these ratings for this episode compare to Battlefield? Well, we've been talking about that in our headline shows with Bedouia, our ratings analysis expert. He's actually been showing you where Battlefield is now in comparison. It's still in there, but it's no longer at the bottom, is it, guys? It's actually gone down. It's around about halfway now. All the Gatwa episodes are at the bottom. So if you want to go and have a look at that, have a look at that. We've got one more, if you're interested, everybody. We've got one more show, at least, maybe two, for the ratings. So stay with us on the channel. Make sure you subscribe and look out for headlines.
Gatwa's breaking all the wrong records, isn't he? So he's there.
For astronomical one, I think the one thing for Battlefield to remember is that all the other episodes enjoy the different methods that people had to watch it. And if you factored in how many people sort of like video recorded it and watched it because it was always on, it was on at that time against a hugely popular British soap on the other side, because it was midweek, it would be a lot higher, I think. If it was a raising factor added to bring it actually into line with the way things are calculated for the new series, Battlefield wouldn't be in that bottom 20 at all, I don't think.
Well, everyone in the fence now keeps saying that everyone watched TV differently. Like you're saying, Ian, it was different then when you're up against a massive soap like Coronation Street that was getting 20 million. You know what I mean? It's kind of a different world. You know?
Not everybody had a TV in their bedrooms, did they?
Yeah.
So if you didn't, you had to slap the videotape in and hope to God the timer worked or the tape didn't tangle. Yeah. Because there was no iPlayer, there was no repeat, there was nothing. It was just that. And if you didn't catch it, you were stuffed.
Yeah.
We've got Jack asking us, are we in the wilderness years again? I bloody hope so, Jack.
Yeah.
At this point in time, on the 8th of June 2025, yes, we are, because there is nothing in production yet. Everything is a rumor. There's nothing in production because who's going to pay for it? And we've got Chris Hansford saying to us, RTD, are you in the chat? Are you taking notes? Oh, I love that. Can you imagine? There's a lot of stuff that he needs to watch.
He has been on before, hasn't he? A few weeks ago, wasn't he?
He phoned in a couple of times, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
On the rating piece, my argument is that I actually think the ratings could be mega high with the current TV landscape. People like to talk about, but because there's so little good television, if Doctor Who was written over the past couple of years to a decent, I'm going to just say a decent standard where it wasn't woke and it was just focused on telling, creative stories, and it got everyone engaged, then people would tune in and watch it. They'll be desperate. People are desperate, crying out for some good television. That's why they go to places like the Critical Drinker, just to try and work out what's actually good and what isn't. What is woke, what isn't woke. So I actually think if you put Battlefield, for example, in the modern today, and you showed that, to a live audience, and it was, let's say, new, people will be talking about it, and it would get way higher viewership than what it got when it was showed back in the classic era. As you say, back in the 80s, you'd have loads of great TV, Only Fools and Horses. I wasn't born at the time, but sure, there was loads of choice.
Shut up.
Looking back, Emilio, I can say to you that in the 80s, we had great television and it was entertaining. We had everything from variety to quiz shows to drama to children's television to news output to sport. The BBC was doing what the BBC was supposed to do. Yeah.
It was interesting. Someone mentioned in the chat about the TV license about colour and black and white. Can you still get black and white TVs? Can you?
I would imagine you should be able to, can't you?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen them in the shops. I must admit, they're all 4K colour public thing now, aren't they?
Maybe in a vintage store, like
maybe charity shop. Hey, listen, Kit 10. Hello, Kit 10. How are you? RTD does have a certain arrogance about him now. I think with how much of the success of the 2005 reboot was attributed to him, it's gone to his head, and he writes any of the criticism as right-wing hate. I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you with that, because he was going on, him and Starmer, more, going off, weren't they? Really, absolute nonsense. And Stephen Braddock. Now, I think about this, Stephen. As far as this area is concerned, I quote Troughton: "Shame, isn't it? People make nice things, and then other people come along and break them again."
Yeah. Aim of the world. Yeah,
absolutely. And Marie UK, thank you for your super chat. We've got here, it's like we put people in prison for anything.
Yeah,
unless you're on the far left, in which case you seem to get away with it.
Thank you, Marie UK. It's sad where we are in the UK. JNT used to put Doctor Who against Coronation Street, said Seeking. I need to correct you on that, Seeking. It was nothing to do with JNT. It was the programme schedulers at the BBC at the time, under instructions from the 6th floor. They came out back in the day when a lot of fans came out in 1987 and said, hang on a minute, why are you putting this on against Corrie? The BBC statement at the time was, there needs to be something good on our channel against Coronation Street to give an alternative programme. And it was Doctor Who.
That was such a lie, wasn't it? That was like, we're trying to bump it off now, so we're going to put it against Coronation Street. Yeah,
that's exactly what they did. Time Flight looks like a masterpiece now compared to the last two finales we've seen since Stephen O'Neill. Yes, not going to argue. And as I've said before on the show, when we come to review it, I will not criticise it. I might do a little bit, but not to the extent after having lived through this 2 years. And Richard Thomas, I mean, honestly, proper Doctor Who for us now. I've said I'll watch Time Flight, I'll watch the Twin Dilemma, and I'll shut up and I'll enjoy it. I cancelled my.
But we've done Time Lapse, haven't we? We're not doing Time Lapse again, no.
No, we're not doing Time Lapse again. No,
that's fine.
Yeah, well, we might do. Richard Thomas said, "I cancelled my TV license, and apart from cold turkey withdrawal from Bargain Hunt, I'm not missing live television at all. Once you realise there's virtually nothing on, you enjoy. Why keep paying?" I have to say that's what I got as well, because I cancelled my license in 2016, 17, something like that, and I have not watched live television. I don't care, because it was all Strictly Come Dancing, and it was reality this and reality that, and now I believe you add drag queens into the mix as well on the BBC. No, not for me at all. There's far better things to go and do with your time, honestly. Disturbance Film TV, they keep saying that ratings don't matter, but 10 million still tuned in to see Jodie start her tenure, and then it all went down the week after and continued to go down. Alfie's saying for a super chat, Rafe Spall would be a great Doctor.
I don't know him, but he looks quite nice. So
I can't even picture him.
Is he Timothy Spall's son?
Probably.
Or the son name just the same?
I think he is, actually. I've seen him. I saw him in something recently, and I can't for the life of me remember what it is.
Let me go to Google.
It wouldn't surprise me if he turns up like something like Harry Potter or something, because that's the next big thing now. That's the next thing. That's what they're all going to be in. They're all going to be in the next series. Yeah.
Oh, is he right? Yeah.
And what are the iPlayer figures of classic against recent, says Chris Lawley for Super Chat. We don't know. We're trying to get hold of any information about the iPlayer. It's incredibly difficult to source because they don't release it and they don't make it public. It's only when they want to say something, oh, Doctor Who's had 6,000 billion hits. Yeah. And what did it get from the 2017 series onwards, please?
Yeah.
They include Doctor Who, the two versions, as Doctor Who. So a lot of people, I reckon, will be going back and watching a lot of the original stuff to catch up, because they'll need to know who the Omega is, who Sutek is, you know?
No, sorry, JT, you don't need to know any of the classic series to enjoy Ncuti Gatwa's wonderful tenure, because Mr. Davis said so.
Yeah.
Oh, that was just bullshit as well, wasn't it? Sorry, just.
Or it's not for us. So there we are. Don't watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
The RTD era is over, says Jason Parker. The Wilderness Years Mark II begin. Exciting times for real creativity in fan productions, not including Bog Vanish. Time to reclaim Doctor Who and make some great fan Who in all media forms. Yeah. We've got this sea devil or whatever it is, this fish thing to get away. Fish thing, that's what I'm going to call it now. We've got the fish thing to get away. He's here. Look, he's there. He's in the chat.
You boss, Stuart. Yeah. So.
Robert is saying, Emilio with the gratuitous I wasn't born at the time. The shame of it. The video is telling you the BBC was good. Frankie is saying to us, ITV just cut ITV Kids Strand on ITV2 to 1 hour. So I read with disgust. And Emilio, says Graham, the 70s was even better. Check out shows like UFO, Sapphire and Steel, Space 1999. Tomorrow People, really great stuff. There's so much that we've got to educate these two on.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's so much. We could be here forever.
Emilio, I would say the Tomorrow People, while it was very, very, very cheap tea time kids entertainment, it had one of the best theme tunes ever.
And title sequences as well, yeah.
Are you guys being sarcastic or are you being serious?
No,
he's being serious.
And UFO, Jerry Anderson's UFO, another fantastic title credit sequence. Absolutely off the charts. Both of them. Give them a listen on YouTube.
I will do. I'll mention them. I'll mention them to my dad and get his opinion on it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Paul Roughton, it's good to see you, mate. How are you? I haven't paid license in years and I never will. I don't watch it. I believe Doctor Who is done, at least for a long time, many, many years, and I'm okay with that. Stephen O'Neill saying to us, last night's Unleashed special glossed over the Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi era. And Duncan the Funky Evans is saying to us, you can change the colour settings to black and white. I do that to watch the snooker.
I'm interesting on the Unleash, by the way, keep going around on Twitter is what Stephen Moffat said around the fact that the show needs to basically it needs a new team to rejuvenate itself. And he said it was really weird because he said, I feel really strongly about this, which I thought was very, very people keep saying, is he insinuating that RTD should have never come back for a second time and that fresh blood should have come in? I don't know. I mean, he's been part of his era, right? So you can't really imagine. And he's one of the crew. But I thought I'm not sure, Paul, did you find that a little bit interesting the way he?
Yeah, I did, and I wondered whether that was a recent interview or something prior to Russell coming back or not. Because some of it was kind of archival in places, wasn't it? So I don't know. Maybe it's recent. I don't know, but it's very strange, very interesting. I agree, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of you in the chat with us today. Thank you so much for joining us. We are reviewing series 2 of Doctor Who. At the moment, we're discussing obviously how it's gone wrong. Lots of ways it's gone wrong. The Tube Jester says, is there any way of knowing how much revenue has been generated from merchandise from Jodie onwards as against merchandise from previous
Nothing.
I think it was £86.40.
At least, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Unfortunately, Tube Jester, there isn't. I've been trying for some time to. I used to be able to get figures, which were very kindly presented, but not anymore, and I haven't been able to get them for some time. So I don't think they're going to be forthcoming on that. We have to remember that BBC Studios, who do all this, is a private company. They don't need to release those figures at all if they don't want to. So I don't think we're going to get anything from them. And Cool Boys Backyard, I always think Doctor Who shouldn't be on a Saturday night. There's too much competition. I think a Sunday night slot at 6 p.m. is better. I don't think there is. And if you remember back in 2005 onwards, for years, Doctor Who was the dominant player on a Saturday night against two of our massive alleged entertainers, Ant and Dec, who are still going, by the way. They're still around. So the tables have turned, and I think it's down to the quality of Doctor Who. I always think that Doctor Who could work well on a Saturday night if it's done properly, and if it's bloody well shorter, get it back to 30 minutes. What do you think, guys?
Well, I think they tried with Jodie on a Sunday, and I think that was a failed experiment as far as I'm concerned. I think it didn't do very well then. So
no. I think because it's a family show, right? So families aren't sitting down. A Sunday evening normally, like I imagine, get your kids ready for school kind of thing, and the next week. So I don't think it is like sit down as a family kind of viewing time for TV. So I think if you're trying to capture that kind of broad audience, then Saturday works a lot better than Sunday, in my opinion.
Yeah, Sunday when I was a kid, it was bath night. Every Sunday, where you needed it or not, We were in the
Yes,
bath before school.
yeah.
That was it.
Same
Yeah.
with me. Same
Yeah.
with me. You had to get your bath and you watched the Muppets.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
you
you've
listen
got
to
to
the
watch-
charts on the radio for the top
Well, that's
40.
as you got older. But
Yeah,
as I was
yeah,
younger,
yeah.
it was something probably with the Muppets, and then something probably
Yeah.
with Thora Heard,
Yeah.
and then you got sent to bed. You know, and you had to be up early for school the next morning. Simple as that.
The
We've got
heartbeat.
Sorry.
The heart of Sunday nights. That's why it should be on a Saturday night because it's family night. You
Yeah,
think
and
that Heartbeat, the
Yeah.
TV show,
It
that
would
just gives me PTSD of school the next morning on a Sunday. I don't need that. I want my Doctor Who on a Saturday.
Yeah.
It would help if the BBC got their acts
Absolutely.
together again on a Saturday night, because the reason it was put back on Saturday night is because Lorraine Hegarty, who was then the controller of BBC One, said she was sick and tired of pink and blue neon sets.
Yeah.
And she got rid of them for such a long time. And then Piers Wenger, when he eventually got there, brought them all back. And that's all it is now. And Saturday
And
night
now they're
could
in
be
Doctor Who, if you
night.
look at this season.
Yeah, God.
Yeah, awful stuff. We've got a super chat here from Alfie. Thank you very much for that one, Alfie. You should do a best tea theme show. Yes, we should. Yes, we should. And we'll do that at some point, I think. We would. We've done one already. We've also got here to Timkins to throw my hat into the best titles, best theme music ring, Jamie and the Magic Torch.
Yeah.
Yes. The funkiest kids television show theme tune ever in the history of ever, I'd say. You're watching Who's Views. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We are talking, of course, about Ncuti Gatwa's last series as the Doctor, everybody.
Hooray!
Yeah.
He looks
The last
crappy when
series.
he's floating in space, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so
Right.
unconvincing that. You can't even do that right,
Yeah.
can you? Let's be honest.
No.
There was a lot of stuff, as we've mentioned before, that was in this series that we just are never, ever going to resolve. And I'm happy with all that, like a lot of you are in the chat as well. There was this thing that was going on, this guitar thing he was doing, you know, this
What was that called again? I forgot what it was called.
Vindicator.
Vindicator.
Modulator.
Yeah. So you were
Or the
paying
gun.
attention.
We can call it a gun. It's a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a great resolution to get rid of Omega, or whatever that thing was, wasn't it? Yeah. So.
I still don't understand what it was doing. Well, I mean, there was a bigger story there that wasn't properly explained. It was 2 lines or something. What was it doing? That he was supposed to be traveling around the episodes, and how many episodes he did? Was it 6? And correlating a way to get back to whatever date it was, because I'm that interested, I've forgotten.
Yeah,
23rd of
23rd or 24th of May, whatever it was. Yeah,
And
yeah.
for some reason, I still don't understand. They couldn't materialize on that particular day.
I thought
I'm
it was
so
like
confused with it all.
it's like a fishing hook or something. Like I think that's the analogy of it. Kind of, by putting it in different time zones, it would help him find. I mean, there's not really much logic to it, but it kind of it would just like a fishing net. It would help you reel in the getting back to Earth. I mean, I'm not sure, Paul, if you understood it any differently, but that's how I.
No, you've got me there. You lost me at plot there. I think. Yeah. So.
I just don't think he knew or knew. I just thought he had this idea. There were so many, as I said, throughout the 8 episodes, there were so many ideas in his, and he was cramming them all in. Where what should have happened with a decent, strong script editor that would have told him to shut up, sit down, and do it again, should have said, right, you take that element out, and that element out, and that element out, because you've got too many elements. Because when you look at what we've got, you had the Vindicator thing, you've got the Susan plot line, you've got the Poppy plot line, you've got the Rani coming back, which wasn't done because he didn't even know he was bringing the Rani back, did he, until late in the day?
Yeah.
So who was Mrs. Flood? Oh, I'll make her the Rani because the fans are saying it's the Rani. I'll make it the Rani.
I
This
still
guy
think
was burnt out. He had
Anita
no
Dobson.
ideas.
Yeah, Anita Dobson had no idea. It's like, what? I'm playing. I'm the Rani. I'm the Rani. I'm like, okay, right, okay. I'm the Rani. It's like that. It's like awful, you know. But yeah.
But the whole thing, the plot line about it all, he didn't know he was bringing Omega back, I believe, until the very last minute, because he needed a big bad. Oh, I'm only going to do Omega because, again, the fans have been saying for the last 10, 15 years, Omega's coming back every bloody year, you know. And again, I'm going to say it, Bob Baker would never have signed off that script. There is not a way Bob would have allowed that script. He would have said, no. You know,
They could have easily reset this, you know, and just made it that everything that was seen up to that point, you know, to the end of the episode was all rewritten, like they did in Last of the Time Lords or whatever, you know, just switched all around, started again, and nothing happened at all. That'd have been fine, you know.
I don't think people were clamouring for Omega to come back for the last 15 years. And I don't think people were clamouring for Susan to come back either.
No.
That's just absolute guff to just cover up the fact that it's what he wanted to do or chose to do. I'm not aware of any call for those characters to come back.
No.
Well, no. What I'm saying is there was from a minority. If you look at certain youngsters that are on the Tube of Who as well, go and look at their content. Omega's back.
Oh,
Omega's
right,
back.
okay.
They'll fail every single bloody year. Now they're the people that his audience. They're his audience. You know, and you think that's what he's talking about. Crystal Meth might have been saying something similar. You know,
Did he think really in dramatic terms if she did come back for season 3? Is Susan out for revenge or something? What's going on? Is she really annoyed that the Hartnell left her behind on 21st Century Earth? I mean, ridiculous. What's going on there? Daft.
Yeah.
That's why you don't bother.
Yeah.
You just don't bother
Mystery.
to return to characters with legacy characters and give them something else to do, because it doesn't work. We last saw Susan in the continuity of the series properly in the 5 Doctors. That's
Now,
where
I have to say,
changed.
now, based on what we saw, if you count it, Dimension Time is now canon. So just remember that. Okay. So,
Well, I won't be, of course, because it's just nonsense. Yeah, because he's opened a can of worms there
Yeah.
to try and push his Whoniverse crap. Because now you're going to have to look at the curse of fatal death. You're going to have to look at dimensions in time. You're going to have to look at, and yet there are certain fans that will not have the common sense to say, "Oh, shut up."
but last year they put Richard E.
Crackerjack.
Grant in the bloody thing. Remember that? What's the point of that? You know, really stupid. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't Hugh Grant. It was Richard, wasn't it?
Richard E. Grant. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at Crackerjack and all the spoofs we've had.
Crackerjack. Yeah.
You know, all these spoofs we had in our day.
Yeah.
That's part of the universe, according to him, because he's an idiot. He's an
So
absolute...
Don McLean is the Doctor. Is that what you're saying?
Does that mean that Peter Glaze in Crackerjack is actually a Sensorite infiltrator?
It could be. Yeah, that's a good point.
Getting really complicated now, isn't it?
Disguised as the Brigadier. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I mean, the fact that we know that Marie UK, thank you for your super chat. All the money went into Ncuti's wardrobe. It bloody well did. That's a good point. How many outfits did he have? Goodness me. But yes, I mean, the fact that he actually said to Paul Cornell, and we reported this, I did everything I could to get Scream of the Shellcrane in now, because he believed Chris Chibnall had opened up the floodgates to every man and his wife being the Doctor.
No, gosh.
You know.
Well, I'm surprised because Disney have the images of Peter Cushing and as Grand Moff Tarkin. He didn't turn up as the Doctor as well, you know. But
yet, I mean, he's got 3 and 4 planned if they can get the money. What I would say to any investor, if you come across this show, do not do Doctor Who with Russell T Davies. He's made it a complete failure. We don't want him. We don't want his vision. We want Doctor Who back, please. Come and talk to us. Richard Brooks, a BBC novel has Susan use the telepathic suffix in the Master's TARDIS to attack him. This is why he's wasted ruin for the deadly assassin. Susan leaves the Master and seals his TARDIS. Now, this is what RTD will be aware of, Richard. And this is what I got the absolute feeling was going on this series in particular. I thought this was just all fan fiction.
Yeah.
Awful. And we read something the other day, didn't we, guys, about from one of the papers who was saying that the Chibnall era, when they realized the ratings were going down, threw everything at the wall, trying to get something to stick so that people... Russell's done the same thing.
Yeah, I think your point, JT, that they crammed everything into it. Ultimately, I've seen this online since the last episode was shown, is actually the people that were invested in the storylines and the thread that RTD had left, all of them, because they were cheated in the first series, right, with Sutek, and the mum turned out not to be anybody important.
Yeah.
When you got to the end of this season, they felt that Shooting Doctor wasn't given a proper send-off. Belinda character had been desiccated and basically rewritten at the end of the episode. None of the threads that were set up were answered. Nothing made sense, basically, for them it felt like they weren't given a satisfactory conclusion. And as to the people that are that were supportive of him, that stood up for this era, they feel like that, let alone the rest of us. And I think that is ultimately because he just, as you say, bad fan fiction, lazy, just doing whatever he feels he wants in the moment.
What worries me, Emilio, is he says, as we know, I've got series 3 and 4 planned out. No, you haven't, because you didn't even have 1 and 2 planned out. Now you've lost your leading man because you couldn't get the finance to do your planned 3 and 4, which you assumed was going to happen. You know, and I'm including the Tennant crap in 2023 for this, because that was bloody awful as well.
Yeah.
And the way he's dumbed everything down, it's no wonder that fans left in their millions. It's no wonder that the viewing public no longer care about this show. It wasn't strong enough. It didn't capture the imaginations. It didn't give people what they wanted on a Saturday night, which was the Doctor going around fighting monsters. That's all we want. We want good science fiction entertainment. He turned it into some very weak version of a soap opera. And nothing... It's no wonder that people are criticizing him, including his own fan base, Emilio, because nothing did tie up. And when you suddenly think... You get the agent call probably on a Monday morning saying, Ncuti's not going to come back because there's no show to come back to, and he's not prepared to hold off other work. Fair enough. The actor's got to eat, fair enough. But the way he did that was just ridiculous. He must have been sore when he went, right, we're going to reshoot the whole thing. I'm glad he did in a sense, because we didn't get the Susan crap.
Yeah.
But to do what he did at the end, and that whole 20 minutes or whatever it was with Poppy and all that, that was just boring nonsense.
Yeah.
Lex is saying to us, to me, the Bone Palace looked like something from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And please don't do that Christmas special with Tennant and Bible. We don't need it. I'm gonna say again, Lex, it's a rumor. We'll come to it in a second. It's a rumor. We've got Shaggy Dabby Danks again for Super Chat. 13's run feels like if Morbius Doctors came true. Oh, the Morbius Doctors. They weren't the Doctor. There was the Morbius.
They were Morbius.
Morbius.
But
baby.
why would you dwell on that continuity reference back in 1976? It's a bizarre thing to draw on, isn't it? That's lazy as well. That's more fan fiction. Yeah.
Really? Yeah, Baby is with us. BBC make an episode about the flute of the second Doctor. Don't give them ideas. You could do a little CGI flute that would bounce around the screen.
What happened to it when it was in the Antimatter universe? That's what we're talking about. And 3 Doctors, yeah.
Golden
Further Adventures of,
Golden Nuggets. Oh, I used to love them. It's a cereal back in the day. Oh, I loved the Golden Nuggets. Couldn't eat them all because they were big things like this. Go to school with a mouthful of Golden Nuggets. Anyway, it's saying to us the Nerdrotic review was emotional, especially at the end of his video. Was it?
I've watched it. It's very good. I recommend it. Yeah,
is it? Yeah, I'll give it a watch at some point then.
It's about half an hour long, so it's nice.
Is it?
Very good, yeah.
Do the BBC own Torchwood, says Doctor Who Fan 001? Yes, they do. Again, they would have to have some sort of influence from RTD, though. But yes, it's a BBC product. And not even BBC Studios yet. But it would be likely BBC Studios bringing it back because they do everything for the BBC, even Strictly. Eastland Burkholder, my 8-year-old great nephew told stories, broke continuity and narrative thread. No, I stopped almost immediately trying to keep track. RTD2, you was there with my great nephew. Well, thanks, Eastland, nice to see you. And Popcorn Power, they tried everything but good story writing, good world building, not pushing agendas and not insulting their audience. I totally agree, Popcorn. And you know what as well, they had the world building already there because he set it up between 2005 and when he left, and Moffat did his own version. I can't talk about Chibnall because I didn't watch it, but he could have picked it up and just done proper Who. And I reckon that's why I'm so annoyed at him right now. Had he just done what he'd done in 2005 to 2008, possibly even more of the 2008 stuff, I think he would have had a hit on his hands. And thank you for your super chat, Chris Lawley. No more showrunners, better writers and a script editor. I'm with you.
Can't argue with that.
No, I want to go back to the old thing. Producers, script editors, that would be lovely, I think.
I would be interested to see, although there were new writers on this series, how much of Russell's input went into the episodes, because you can really feel his influence on it, regardless of the fact that other people wrote some of it,
Yeah. Well, it'll all come out in the wash, Paul.
We
keep saying that, don't we? Let's have a look at this. Thank you, Super Chat. Thank you, Super Chat. Duncan the Funky Evans. How soon before Ncuti does Bog Fanish?
This time next week. Probably,
when he realised that he hasn't got anything lined up in America after all. Probably.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Sorry.
And Kane, thank you for your super chat. Colin Baker has now made 31 episodes and 3 years as the Doctor. And Pointless Gatwa did 19 episodes. Colin Baker, he was the Daniel Craig of Doctor Who, compared to bloody
Oh, God, yeah.
The last two, absolutely. I mean, at least Colin was playing the Doctor and made a character and has a presence on the screen.
Yeah.
When Colin walks on the set, you think there's the Doctor.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? And we see that, don't we? We absolutely see it.
And at least with Colin, when Colin behaved more aggressively as the Doctor, they explained that, you know, for post-regeneration trauma or what happened in Mind Warp or whatever. But they never explained why Ncuti was really violent to that alien creature in the song contest episode, did they? You know, so
Because he's a white man. That's
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
Oh, do you mean the baddie?
The baddie, yeah. Because he
Him.
was kind of tasering him away, wherever he was, electrocuting him several times really violently. And it's like, that's not the Doctor at all. But they didn't explain it. They didn't say why he did it, you know, just because he's a white
He
male.
just justified it though, didn't he? It was just plain nasty.
Yeah.
And he just said, "I've got ice in my heart now," or whatever, and tried to justify the fact that he was a really, really nasty, vindictive individual now.
Yeah.
But that, I think, like I said before, that nastiness thread ran through this entire series. You know, the joy that he showed when Belinda's boyfriend was reduced to a sperm and an egg and swept up and therefore erased from existence, destroyed.
Yeah.
Without
and then he high kicks the air as well. Yeah.
Yeah, without any redemption. And then, of course, we had Conrad, another bad white person. White people bad was one of the themes of the series. And then when you had a black guy that was the bad guy in the stupid barbershop one, he has a lovely redemption arc. Of course he does.
Well,
you know,
that leads me on to I want to actually look at that, because that was the other issue with this series too. It really did push the DEI agenda. You've just mentioned it here. Let's look at some of the villains in the piece this year, shall we, that we saw on screen. Now, of course, we had the cartoon thing, which I'm not really, he was, just a cartoon, but he was a villain.
Blue. He's blue.
Yes. let's have a look at this. We had this man, and we had this man, right? He's not really a villain, but he was stereotypical.
Yeah.
And that was, as we said back in the very beginning, that particular ending for that guy was just unnecessary. That wasn't funny at all.
But like the last one, it was like a kind of like a rehash of Davros a bit, wasn't he? To be honest, if you look at him,
Yeah.
When you look at it, it looks great. It's good makeup. I mean, we said before, there were some great people working on this show that put their time and effort and their energy and earned their money on this bloody show.
Oh yeah.
But the scripts didn't do them justice.
No.
Yeah. But they all stay. Oh, sorry, can I just say?
Hi.
What I was going to say about these guys, they all stay bad, or they're removed from the action.
Yeah.
Bit obvious, isn't it? Really, when you look at it from a point of view, he was redeemed.
So the question is, why was he redeemed? I know not to answer that. So it's more of a rhetorical question. But why was he redeemed? But
when you consider, though, the other guy, I forget his character name in the song contest one, he was taking the action he took because of the extermination of his people, effectively, wasn't it? You could say that he had way more justification for being a bad guy than the hairdresser guy did, who was just pissed off that he wasn't basically getting the intellectual property rights for writing the stories that the gods claimed as their own. But he gets the redemption arc, and the white guy's writhing on the floor as the Doctor channels electricity into him just for fun.
Yeah.
But the common theme across the series is really around who the real enemy is, which is far right extremism, which is what the because Alan in Belinda's first boyfriend wants to be the kind of controlling, keep her in a box kind of a boyfriend, and then you got Conrad, who they try and make this kind of conspiracy theory far right extreme podcaster, and then you got Kid, who is basically just an angry, revengeful white person who wants to kill basically trillions or whatever billions of people because of the corporation. So that's ultimately the theme of the series. But the funny thing is that even within this series, right, RTD clearly made it very clear who the real threat or enemy is of the series. At the end, Conrad, right, who he is set up as this evil guy, he basically had Ruby say to him, "You tried to build a wish world that is nice for families, but at the same time you made him exclude trans people, and he hates disability people. He doesn't think about them, and then Conrad gets a nice ending at the end. Like, so even it's so contradictory, even within the series. Even the point he's trying to make, it doesn't really add up. So it's just it's just.
Can I
baffling.
interject with that as well? That I hefty recommend, if it comes back again, go get yourself married or go away for 3 weeks. You missed the first series. So I only know
That's no excuse. I'm sorry. I'm not taking that excuse. I'm sorry.
I only know bits and bobs of the Robot Revolution, and I've seen. I literally landed on our honeymoon and watched clips of it at 4 a.m. eating pizza, and I was like, "What is this?" So I've only seen clips of it. But why is she got a controlling boyfriend, and then at the end with the reality war, she's got this kid thrusted upon her?
Yeah.
And you're trying to say that she's broken away from a controlling man, but then she's now got a kid thrusted upon her and she's a single mum. That's not you. These guys advocate for like the bestest female ever, and like, and you're not saying having kids shackles you down, but you having this great woman who's wanted to go home, she headstrong, she knew what she wanted, she was a nurse, and now she's got a kid.
Well, it's because
away from I don't need a man. What is this?
It's because RTD wrote these episodes back between 23 and into 24, and he's forgotten, you know, and he's just and because he had like 10 minutes, I would imagine, something like that, to write the reshoot, he's just gone for who's available. That's why you don't see Bonnie in the last one, because she's moved on by this point, because she did her scenes last year. So she's now moved on. So she has to do a cameo on Zoom, as it were, to try and round off that. Again, massive injustice to Bonnie's character of Mel, who's a legacy character, as we all know, because she just disappears. You know, what he was trying to do. He was trying to recreate the Stolen Earth and Journey's End for this end of this series, but because none of us care about the series, none of us care about those characters. We haven't had long enough to invest in them because it's only last year. Nobody cares, and we didn't get that. But he's tried to do that.
It's such a bizarre thing to do, because I'm not a writer, I'm not a TV executive, but you must have some common sense to think it's not enough time to engage with the audience, because it's not. He's done 16 episodes and half of them wasn't in them. You know, it's like, so why do we, and all the characters were irritating as well. I mean, Belinda, what an obnoxious character she was. I really couldn't stand her. Awful character.
I want to talk more about her, because I don't understand, again, waste of time. Why was she in the show? Smiling is saying to us, bearing in mind the Ninth Doctor turned the Slovene into an egg and let her live her life again, and she was evil, yet the incel didn't get a second chance. And more than that, he celebrated that by doing a really stupid, ridiculous dance and thought it was very funny.
The Fourth Doctor struggles to eliminate the Daleks, and they're awful. It's like, God's sake, you know, it's like incredible. You know,
it was absolutely. I mean, this is what RTD suddenly forgot. I don't know what he was writing there, but it wasn't the Doctor and it wasn't Doctor Who. And that's why I will never accept Gatwa as the Doctor, because he just wasn't playing it. I never saw an element of the Doctor in all these episodes we've seen. Disturbance, film, TV, representation is cool as long as it's normalized rather than forced. What I would say to you there, Disturbance, is this is science fiction. It's science.
I've said before about politics. It needs to be done in a more subtle form, doesn't it? And it's not been very subtle, has it?
We shouldn't need it. It's science fiction. Yeah. We should be hiring men in rubber masks and stuff like that, but they don't do that anymore because they're so busy with ticking the boxes and having DEI and putting it on Earth so they can show people in wheelchairs and transgender characters and all this nonsense. You know, I'm going to say again, why would a transgender character called Rose, why would he be working in the unit tower at the age he's supposed to be? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It's ticking the boxes. In science fiction, we don't need to tick boxes because it's science fiction. Stick everyone in a rubber mask, for Christ's sake. It really winds me up. I've had this argument, as can you tell? I've had this argument several times this week with alleged New Who fans who are going on by, it's so important to see people represented. You're not going to see a wheelchair on the bloody moon, are you?
Talking about, rubber monsters and stuff, I was really disappointed for a number of reasons by the Interstellar Song Contest, because that was a great opportunity to have lots of aliens in it. And like Emilio, I watched Unleashed, and there was more aliens in that in the behind the scenes than there was actually in the episode itself. You know, just really crap, you know?
Glenn is saying
Afraid of monsters, I think, you know. But,
Glenn, Doctor Who is about monsters. It's not about human representation in this era that we're in. It's not about the society we're in now. And this is what these idiots, including RTD, don't understand because they've been so busy ticking the boxes on their clipboards. I bet the scripts are being questioned, says Glenn Piper. Now that the media are attacking it, it wouldn't be surprised if the BBC has taken a long, hard look at this show. Let's hope they want to save it. Glenn, I can tell you that they're absolutely, BBC Studios is desperate to keep Doctor Who going, more so than any of the fans are. They are desperate because they know it earns them money. They want it back on the air next year. Whether or not it's going to happen, it doesn't look likely because they have to find somebody to go into co-production with to do it. So stay tuned with us here because we're going to be reporting things and then the rumors and the speculation in this interesting period that we're all going through now.
It's interesting, JT. Someone mentioned earlier about the BBC radio show dissing the current series and telling the audience what's wrong with it. It's interesting. We're back in that position. Remember Open Air back in the 80s and then McCoy and Bonnie Langford on Open Air and people were just openly attacking it, including the BBC themselves. They were criticising it quite heavily, you know.
Well, it was the excuse they needed to take it off the air. But now they know because, again, because they're always going on about television and the landscape, Doctor Who can be a hit if done properly. They've just had 2 attempts, including the Chibnall era, to do it properly, and both failed. Get off your DEI clipboards and start looking at the show. Science fiction, a good male actor in the lead as the Doctor. You write the Doctor. You make him dress like the Doctor. You give him monsters. You give him good science fiction stories. That's it. It's nothing else. That's what makes it a hit. It's a weird thing in TV, says Bedouin, where if a female character has to have a child in order to complete their story. Look at Penny in Big Bang Theory. It's silly. It's just lazy, isn't it? And we've seen that. Journey's End was a masterpiece. Could never compare it to what we have now, says Nightman. He tried though, honestly. A lot of you saying that he's had ideas from lots of other places. He has, including himself.
And what happened to Little Morris as well? Why was he not there? You know,
who?
Little Morris.
He was just in stand-in, right? Because I think the actress Shirley couldn't make it in. But again, like you never a character that just appears and then just suddenly disappears. Just like why, what? You know what I mean? It's just
Unit's employment budget must be massive, though. Surely,
well, they employ all the kids, don't they, Paul? Don't you know? Anybody that says hello, kind of interacted with the Doctor, Kate's offering them a job.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I mean, she must be delighted when the Doctor finds a new companion and that companion ends up back on Earth. Oh, come and work for us for £60,000 a year.
Unit HR must say, "Well, you stop doing that. We can't afford it."
I know, yeah. Honestly, again, he took something that wasn't his creation and ruined it. Ruined it. I think Unit in the new era should be a mystery force in the background, not trying to spin it into its own series. I know there's a lot of people, and they have been for 30, 40 years, wanting a Unit spin-off, not under RTD. But we've got to be looking at it. It's on the way. We
should have had it with Nick Courtney and Richard Franklin and John Levine. We should have had
with Terence and Barry doing it. Because it was their thing. They knew what it was good. They developed it. They knew how to write it. But nowadays, I've said it before on the show. Can you imagine if Barry and Terence were with us now?
I'm glad they're not for their sake.
I am as well. They would not appreciate this. Cool Boys Backyard is saying, would we ever see a male actor play the Rani? Probably not. Yet we get a female actor playing the Doctor. Oh, the Rani.
Have you seen the recent furore of the Black Panther thing happening? You've probably seen that.
Yeah.
That's why we can't. So there we are. So.
The Rani, though, I mean, again, it was pretty obvious it was going to be the Russell T Davies did come out and say he specifically made Mrs. Flood the Rani because the small, very loud-mouthed fan base that he obviously adores and was watching more of on the Tube of Who rather than people like ourselves wanted the Rani, and he did, and he cast both Anita obviously as Mrs. Flood and then as the Rani herself, Archie, and I'm still absolutely reeling with disgust over this because Archie Punjab didn't get a story at all. What another waste. I mean, there's a theme on this show when we're reviewing this. What a waste of time. And this was another one. I'm so disappointed for Archie.
They didn't even do the wonderful master thing. They should have eaten Anita Dobson, and she should have ran to her TARDIS and went off in her TARDIS. That'd be a lovely moment, like classic Who, when the master got away kind of thing, you know? That's what you wanted, you know? But
yeah.
I mean, again, it was ridiculous. What he did, he just took this legacy character, ruined it completely, like he tends to do, just to try and get to a finale. He obviously, I mean, we know RTD cannot write finales. His second part is always rubbish.
in this case, though, the first part was rubbish as well. You know,
it's always, you just know with him and to an extent with Moffat, it's always going to be push the button and reset time, Superman around the world type nonsense. You know, it's going to be that sort of thing.
Well, I'm going to say something controversial. Back in Capaldi's time, when his last story before the Christmas special, we did the World Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls. World Enough in Time is amazing, but the Doctor Falls is appalling. After the awful second episode.
Yeah.
What I like about that is at least it's small scale. It's not end of the world, end of the universe. You need to hit the reset button. It was actually more kind of character driven that 2-part finale. And even I'm going to give Chibnall his due here. At least in the first series, he actually tried to move away from that kind of thing into much more. Again, it didn't work. It wasn't executed at all.
Then we got Tim Shaw.
But the idea that you have to have these big bombastic finales, and then you have to press the reset button to try and you didn't need that. You can maybe have those on the odd occasion, but it shouldn't have to be every single bloody year.
The problem is they've all got this fascination and a real sort of be in their bonnet about having a season finale. When you've got 8 episodes, give it a bloody rest. You know, who cares? It's too much. No offense to you guys in the chat from America. It's turned too much into American television. We don't have these big season finales. He's introduced them, and it's been going on every bloody year. Knock it off.
But
Why
I'll say this.
I'll
say this as before. You have 8 episodes to produce. All of them should be good. It's only 8 episodes, you know?
They have to be standout movie styles, and this was nowhere near this. Nowhere near it at all. You know, thanks for joining us, everybody. We've got Sliver Wolf saying all good actors and bad scripts. They were extremely bad.
The guy who played Conrad is actually a very good actor. I watched him in it was a drama called World on Fire with Sean Bean, and he's a very, very good young actor. But he was completely wasted. I mean, he spent the whole finale just carrying a baby and sitting in a chair. I mean, he's a complete waste of potential. It's insulting, actually. I don't know how if those actors actually even bothered watching those episodes back.
To be honest, no, they won't, because they'll take the money. They'll have a lovely time filming it. They'll think it's the best thing in the world because Doctor Who has a built-in fan base. Well, it did, and they'll go off. They'll make more money by going to conventions, and people will go and see them. If Archie was going to a convention, I would go because I like her work. Yeah. You know, I wouldn't pay to get her autograph or anything like that, to take a picture of her. I'd go up to her and I'd say, can I ask you about your time in The Good Wife? You know, can I sign this from East is West DVD for me? You know, but I wouldn't pay for them. But they're not going to watch these things. They're not going to hear about it. The agents probably won't tell them. I don't know. But, you know, they've just taken the money. But what I think they're doing now when it comes to Doctor Who is everything is about, we've got to get to the end. We've got to make it this big, huge finale. I don't understand the fascination with this at all. And we've got to have good names in it, which I understand, but there was far too much of excellent actors in this series wasted and stunt casting.
It's too many characters, far too many characters.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he doesn't know what he's doing. And again, that comes back to script editor saying, hang on a minute, no, you're doing too much, calm it down. And then I'm so disappointed and annoyed with what happened with the Rani and Omega. Legacy characters, leave them alone. You know, you've messed it up with Sutek, you've messed it up big time with Omega, which just looked like a great big rotting corpse, which Omega should never be, in my opinion.
I think
there was no real explanation for him being the way he was either, was there? Surprise, surprise. So
no. I think that obsession with series finales infects the rest of the episodes, doesn't it? Because they then start building up. From episode 1, we've got to put things in that all supposed to pay off, and let's face it, they never do, especially with RTD. All supposed to pay off in this finale, and if they just forgot that and wrote, like it's been said, individual episodes, it'd be much better. It's too late now, obviously.
Yeah, and maybe you just focus on small character theme to develop, and just leave it like that within the individual stories, and literally that's it. The thing that baffled me is you got 8 episodes. Why do you have Doctor Light episodes? Number one. Number two, why the hell are you not making those episodes at least 60 minutes? It doesn't make no sense. You know, if you're going to reduce from 13 down to, then it went to 12, down to 10, then 8. You've got to be able to, if you're going to justify an 8 episode series, they need to be at least 60 minutes. I don't know any actual TV series that runs an 8 episode series and the episodes are 45 minutes each. How are you meant to tell an effective story in 45 minutes?
They should have done 4 2-part stories so they could have had a cliffhanger to raise some interest. Self-contained. If 8 was all I had, 4 2-parters. It's what J&T did in his last few series. He had 4 stories. You know, we still talk about them today.
Yeah, but imagine last season they did that, and the one with what's his face, the one what's the one with the piano person? What's Maestro?
Oh,
imagine Maestro was in it for 2 episodes. Good God!
Don't feed that into my nightmare, Paul.
Yeah,
that's again because of RTD's obsession with his agendas and pushing his political messages. And you know, it's a case of like he thought he was going to get millions of people watching this thing, and he was going to be able to present and enforce his ideological views on millions of people, not just in the UK, but out with the UK. Well, big ha to you, because that didn't work. It did not work because people saw what was coming and they switched off. You know, they just didn't want it. And
he wanted to put all the work in without any of the effort, basically. That's effectively what he wanted. He'd gone, I can get the same success doing 8 episodes. Not going to write 13 episodes, and I'll write all the episodes so I get all the money. And that's it. Like, it come from a lazy play that he just thought he could just get what he wanted without having to put half the work in that he did it back in 2005.
I think the motivation as well for Ncuti allegedly was to try and he talked about being missing in Doctor Light episodes. His drive for being the Doctor was to catapult him into America rather than treating this part with respect as well, which is part of my disappointment with his performance as well.
Can we just let's go to the chat. I want to talk about that some more. So hold on one second. Philip is saying, just give us one simple story, nothing complicated or a million threads that you have to tie up and can't keep up with. That's the problem, isn't it? When he's trying to be too clever and he's shoving all this stuff in, and instead of being seamless by keeping it to 1 or 2, there's millions of the things, and all these plot threads have confused the audience that was watching, the minority audience that was watching. That's not the way to do Doctor Who or any drama, really. You've got to be subtle. You've got to just think about it. Josh H is saying, I wonder if Jonah Howard King was the potential Doctor because Ncuti came along. I don't know. It is at some point, sooner or later. And Lex has got a super chat here. I know he's too famous. Jared Harris as the Doctor. Who's that?
That's Richard Harris's son.
OG Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Interesting.
But I don't think Jared would actually do that because he got interviewed about the new Potter show and said, leave it alone, don't touch it. So I don't think he'd be up his alley. But I do recommend a sci-fi program that Jared's on, but then it got affected with its last season and it gets a bit TQ culty. So just watch the first 4 of The Expanse.
Right. Oh, okay, I've heard of this. Yeah, but obviously they jumped on a bandwagon then, didn't they? I remember I did hear some of the Expanse fans were going, what are you doing? But too late by then, it's in the can. Glenn Piper saying to us, if Doctor Who does return again, the 45-minute format has to go. I agree. And we need to go back to 13 episodes again with some 2-parters. This format is not working anymore. As I say, I reckon the future for Doctor Who immediately would be 3, possibly 4 TV movies a year with the same actor through, all filmed in one block. We shall soon see. Legion of James, a fundamental part of proper Doctor Who was the cliffhangers each episode. It generated excitement and created the fans as we discussed it in the playground at school for the whole week until the next episode. We did. And Ian Scales, hello Ian. Yes, they thought Ncuti's Doctor would be massive. They had all the liberal arts with them, but not the general audience. Now, I'm going to say, Ian, I totally agree with you with that, because what's happened is with show businesses, they're all screaming at the moment saying, why aren't people coming to our shows? Why haven't we got bumming seats in the theatres? Why are the viewing figures down? Why is nobody going to the cinema?
Because we're bored now, that's why.
Yeah.
And Chris Lawley, thank you for your super chat. 60 years old, watching before the earliest memory of Pertwee falling out of the TARDIS. It's just ridiculous now. Past being angry, was numb watching the end of this Magic Dawn nonsense. RTD, go back to Channel 4. Thank you for that, Chris. Thankfully, he has. He's doing this TQ cult thing for drama. Whatever it's called, tic-tac-toe or whatever it's called for Channel 4. That's going into filming now this summer. It'll be on Channel 4 next year. I can't see any of us going to watch it. I'm hoping he has a massive flop with it on Channel 4 and on their version of the iPlayer and all that. I hope it's a massive flop because there's not many in the cult that's going to, there's no massive audience for it because the cult is small, thankfully, in our country. Loud, but small, and getting smaller every day. But stay there, Russell. I agree with Chris. Stay there with all your chums over on Channel 4. Don't come back. And BBC, don't let him. So we were talking about, you were mentioning Gatwa there.
Yeah. I kind of feel really disappointed with Gatwa. I've never seen him do anything else apart from this, so I can't really judge his acting talent or not, depending on other than what I've seen in Doctor Who. He wasn't the Doctor in this at all for me, like you said, JT. But I do think that his ambition to use this as a platform to catapult him to America, I'm hoping, is backfired because he's really had no idea what he's getting into and he had no respect for the character at all.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty obvious that I think I may have said this before. For me now, the character of the Doctor in Doctor Who is now used as a stepping stone by actors whose agents say, you get this, it's huge. It's got a massive fan base in America. You're going to be huge. Those days are well gone, agents.
Yeah.
You've got to understand they're not. It doesn't have a massive fan base anymore in America because they didn't like it and they have gone.
But they're approaching it for the wrong way because Matt Smith was popular in America because he was good.
Yes.
And he played it straight. And he did that. He created that, didn't he, really?
Yeah.
Regardless of what you say about Tennant, I think he was the one that catapulted to America. And it was continued a bit with Capaldi. But he knew what he was good at what he was doing. He was playing the Doctor.
Again, you've got to remember that although small, there was a fan base in the States ready for it, just like there was in Australia and all the other territories, as the BBC used to call it. There were fans there that grabbed hold of it, like we did in the UK, and supported it and introduced people like we did to this show. So it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we got weirdos coming into our fandoms. But
I think there's always been weirdos in fandom, JT. Always.
Listen, we've got Gav B saying to us here, the 45-minute episode length is fine if you have 12 episodes or more in a season. I'm not so sure now. I know what you're saying, Gav, but from a public's point of view, I'm not sure. And the core of sci-fi and fantasy, thank you very much. Evening all, sorry I'm late joining tonight. We'll let you off. It's nice to see you. We'll catch up on what I've missed. Just bought. Oh, there was no live at 6 tonight, by the way. Core of Sci-Fi Fantasy. I was busy. I was doing other stuff. Just bought a ton of classic Who merchandise today. Also, have you ever thought of doing a review on the BBC's Chronicles of Narnia series? Don't get me started.
At least Tom's in that. Yeah.
At least Tom is in that.
Yeah.
There's lots of plans we've got on this channel. And I hope you're going to like them all. We've got some great things coming your way. We're going to get together very soon as well to start a brand new series here exclusive on our channel as well. So stay with us. If you are new to the channel, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you are not new to the channel, please make sure you're still subscribed to the channel because you, me, there is lots of stuff that we've got coming up. Doctor Who and beyond, basically. So thank you very much for that, mate. And thank you for your super chat. Do you think Whittaker and Gatwa will go to conventions for the future? If so, what would they be like? Says Philip. Well, Whittaker is going to conventions now. I think Gatwa will eventually start going to them. He's done a couple. That's when we started to think he was out of contract. Remember, guys, because he went to the one in London last year. And that's when we started to say on this show, oh, he's gone. Because that was near Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Back to if just on the kind of Doctor, like you guys were saying that Gatwa were just basically using Doctor Who as a kind of stepping stone.
Yeah,
I completely agree. If we compare Matt Smith when he got the job, that one I know the show was in a different time and it was much of a bigger success, but he treated the role of the Doctor as if it's going to be the biggest role he's ever going to play. And he did the research. He really thought about how he would play the character physically as well, the mannerisms, And you saw all of that hard work, all that care and love that Matt put into preparing himself for that role, that shone through on screen from minute one. And so I think he's a great example in the modern era of, if you're going to, of how to take the role of a doctor seriously and do it in the right way. And even since he'd left the show, I think the fact that actually he'd been left and he's not been touched so much and done him a massive favor.
Yeah.
Well, Matt Smith is a character actor, and I would say he's actually old school of that sense.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And I compare him to Whittaker and Gatwa, and there is no comparison.
Oh, none at all. No.
I mean, there is no way, with respect, that in that scene in the last episode, which I was just stunned at when Whittaker turns up. Now, in my opinion, as I said last week on the Reality War review, I think she was stronger than Gatwa.
Yeah.
Had that been Matt Smith, Gatwa would have been absolutely
obliterated.
flawed.
Yeah.
Because there is no way the Gatwa interpretation would have been able to keep up with Smith's interpretation, even though Smith is now slightly older. Let's face this.
I think he played a doctor better older as well. I think with his age and his life experience and his acting, I think it's continuously improved. He would play the doctor a lot better than he did 10 years ago. Gosh, I mean,
it's a bit like Davison now. When you see Davison in costume as the doctor, I think great as an older doctor, and I think Matt would do the same. Definitely, yeah.
Oh, I think so as well. I would love to see how he would do it now, older and with more experience, because I think that doctor would be incredible. If he got the job now. I think that would be incredible. We've got Ian Scales again saying to us, yes, Matt worked hard and often played against the lines. When he did anger, he often dropped his voice and pulled it back and was so much more threatening. And that's an example here. I mean, I didn't see any of that in Gatwa. I could not see the doctor at all in this year and last year. I couldn't see him at all. Jane Smith saying to us, in my opinion, his agent saw the way the wind was blowing and told him to get out before the shit hit the fan. And that's a good agent.
Yeah, but I think it was too late because it already hit the fan, hadn't it? Let's be honest.
It was too late because the press started to ask questions, fandom started to ask questions. It was far too late, I'm afraid. And Lex came for a super chat saying, talking of Tom Baker, he has a cameo as Wood Elf in Dungeons and Dragons movie from the year 2000 with Richard O'Brien. Does he?
With fantastic pointed ears as well, I remember. So,
does he? I didn't know that. I didn't even know there was a Dungeons and Dragons movie, Lex, in 2000. Mind you, 2000, I was too busy.
That was 25 years ago, sadly.
Shut up, goodness me. And of course, I fancy, thank you for your super chat. I'm fascinating now, JT. Did you not like the Chronicles of Narnia? That's how I actually discovered Tom before Doctor Who. Sorry, I don't mean to change the topic. It's not that I don't like the Chronicles of Narnia with the BBC. It's just that I was a little bit old for it.
Puzzledrum is the part Tom plays,
in the silver chair, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
At that time when it was on, though, I was out. It was on a Sunday afternoon. I was in the pub. Come on.
Did you have a video recorder at that point? You could have VHS or Betamax or whatever you had. Yeah. So.
No, VHS. No, I didn't. It's been a big week here, of course, everybody. Thank you for that course, Sci-Fi Fantasy. It's been a big week, of course, for rumours. We've reported some of them on headlines throughout the week. The biggest one was broken by The Sun, of course, which was this one. Just like old Time Lords, iconic Doctor Who pair set to sensationally reunite for a huge special after Ncuti Gatwa flop. The Sun really not laying it on the lines there at all. The Sun revealed last month that Gatwa was leaving the TARDIS. Well, they did. Doctor Who's most popular pair could be coming back for a final turn in the TARDIS. Insiders say Billie Piper's shot return at the end of the latest series was understood to be teeing up a comeback for Tennant as the Time Lord for a one-off special. Now, I know a lot of you have been mentioning this in the chat throughout the show as well, because I've seen you put it in the chat. I have to say, I think it's a load of BS, which has come from fan speculation on the fan board. Because we know the press, guys, don't we? They watch shows like ours, they go to the fan boards, they go to the Facebook, they go to the X page, and they look at what the fans are saying, and then they take it to the not-wees.
Yeah.
As a story. But can you imagine?
They're getting confident, aren't they? Because they got that story right about Gatwa leaving, and then they think this is a runner, don't you think? Yeah.
The problem was it's been picked up since then by the other tabloids as well.
Yeah.
But did it have any impact? Has anybody run up to you this week and said, "Oh, is David Tennant coming back to Doctor Who?" No, because he's not the draw he was. No. In fact, I've seen a lot of people coming back going, "Oh, not again."
Yeah, if you have too much of something, you end up getting sick of it, right? It's like anything, and we've had too many multi-doctor stuff. We had too much of David Tennant. If David Tennant's already come back, like
Twice.
No, people can just smell what it is, which is basically just desperation, and people can smell it. You can get away with it once, you can't get away with it twice or 3 times.
Well, they didn't even get it away with it last year, 2023, because the Tennant specials weren't well received, as we know. And for our media, alternative media to the BBC, they absolutely went out and hung the thing out to dry with all the pronoun stuff for an alien and all that nonsense, and the pushing the TQ agenda. You know, how a TQ person was able to save the universe just by being alleged non-binary. What a load of old poo.
But it did pull in the audience. I remember the
first episode
were like 7+ million people. So people did tune in. Obviously, the minute they got the pronouns, then all the newspaper.
It went down. It went down for episode 2, went down for episode 3, and it's gone down since.
But people did actually want to, if they tuned in for that episode 1, did want to see David Tennant.
But since then, of course, he's not as popular. Since he's done that, a year and a half is a long time, and he's kicked off, and he said things he shouldn't have done, and he hasn't been realistic, and he's made everybody very, very clear he's part of this TQ cult. And look at what happened with his quiz show.
Yeah, like we said though, they should have ended it on a cliffhanger without Billy being there, and just ended it with a fade to black or whatever. And left it like that, or walked off to the sunset, like you said, like Survival.
If he had to do that whole crap that he did, that's the moment there that he should have faded to black, or that bit where the TARDIS was left in space. But no, he had to go and do it, didn't he? And this happened, and we all know the story of this now. This was a late edition put in there to say the story's going to carry on, because that's what he likes. He said that, didn't he? After Doomsday, he said, no, the Doctor's life goes on. He's just been through a big trauma, but losing Rose, but the Doctor's life carries on, and it's the Doctor we're looking at, and that's what he had to do. But we know this isn't the Doctor. And I'll tell you something that made me laugh this week, guys, for this bit here. A lot of fan creativity, and my favorite one has to be, of course.
Have you seen the Rowan Atkinson one as well?
Yes. A lot of fan creativity here. But what that shows me is that the fans are taking the pee.
Yeah.
And quite right too, after that bloody story.
I was going to say though, the Doctor, or certainly the 10th Doctor, is so obsessed with Rose, he needs a restraining order. Surely, you know what I mean? It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, we know
somebody did it regenerating back into David Tennant again to really show how shit it got.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's an old show. It's 20 years old, and the public have moved on. And, you know, it doesn't matter how much the fans, including ourselves, are talking about this. No public, no show. This is something we have to get across to fans outside the UK. If there is no demand for it in the UK, there is no show. It's as simple as that. I've had this argument with some of the loud ones this week, who seem to think it's like an American show or an Australian or whatever, you know, which is going to get renewed instantly. Anyway, no, it doesn't. If BBC One don't order it, there's no show.
No. I think going with Disney in a partnership has killed other worldwide connections like Australia, New Zealand, etc. That was a big mistake. Big mistake, I think.
Well, I mean, they should have known all this back in the day, but they were so desperate to get the Disney branding on it and get all that lovely Disney money. We had this story as well, by the way, to put this to rest, from the Sun. No, hang on a minute. This one from the Radio Times. Ncuti Gatwa claims his 2-year tenure on Doctor Who was always the plan. My knees are telling me it's time. We reported this on headlines, but it's worth putting in here. Following Ncuti Gatwa's surprise regeneration at the end of the reality war, the Doctor Who star has claimed that it was always his plan to do just 2 seasons. Speaking in behind-the-scenes video on YouTube, Gatwa said it was always the plan to do this amount of seasons because it's a role that demands a lot of you, physically, emotionally, and mentally. What a fibber.
Yeah, you only did 18 episodes, for God's sake. What you like? Yeah.
I mean, but it wasn't. I mean, he did it all in one. And had the Disney money been there last year, as we know from the original ending,
obviously, clearly, William Hartnell had better knees. That's all I'm saying. So.
He would have been back.
I do have to jump, but just quickly on that, he doesn't even remember that it went live on Graham Norton that he would do the 3rd season. and then it got cut. So I've got to jump. But thanks, guys.
All right,
See you later. Take care. See you later.
Thank you.
Take care.
Foreign Movie Lover 101 is saying to us, Troughton spiraling and fading to black in the War Games was a perfect end. Reality War should have had an ending like that. I'm fine with the mystery. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yes.
I think the panel will be as well. Foreign Movie.
Well, like I said, you know, had he not seen the War Games? Oh, wait, he had. Yeah. So.
But again, it's RTD's lack of ability and his obsession with making sure the story continues. If he wouldn't allow that thing to go to black, because that would be a failure for him. Because at the moment he can say, "Oh, we've got plans. Oh, we're trying to get the budget. I know it's got." You know, he can give all the waffle. The thing is out of production. It's in the dark. It's not coming back. There is no money at this particular time. And all these people, guys, that are coming up saying, "Oh, there's going to be a Christmas special." I think that's these people just wishing and wishing and there isn't.
Yeah.
There isn't. We're now in June. There isn't.
I do believe they managed to do a rush Christmas special with Twice Upon a Time when Stephen Moffat tried to keep the Christmas slot open when Chibnall was taking over. So it is physically
Doctor Who
possible.
was still in production.
Yeah.
There's a massive difference. The budget was there, the sets were there, everything was there. There still was a production team. Moffat just brought everybody back, including his Doctor, you know, and just renewed a one-off contract, I would imagine. This time it's not. They've all gone. We saw this week in headlines how the casting director has left the show. Andy Pryor has gone from the show. So there's no one there to cast the show. That's a big clue to this thing not coming back immediately. Because can you imagine a new one coming in now as a casting director with a new setup? That's a big job to cast Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And you would have to have the availability of Tennant and Piper to do it.
Yeah.
A decent script for them. Ha ha ha. It's not going to happen. And then you bring all your production crew back. Build sets. Come on, everybody, wake up. PTA, thank you so much. The Billy Doc has an affair with David Doc. Oops, RTD. I know that.
Don't give them ideas.
Yeah. Paul Thomas Ashworth there, of course, did like The Well. Looking at it as well, let's go very quickly to everybody to our results of, I'm including here Series 1, but these are our results from scores on the TARDIS doors for the entire Gatwa era. We can now say this. This is the entire Gatwa era. The Church on Ruby Road got 13 out of 40. Space Babies got 3.5 out of 50. The Devil's Board got 4.5 out of 50. Boom, 21 out of 50. 73 Yards, 29 out of 50. Dot and Ethel got 19 out of 50. Rouge got 6 out of 50. The Legend of Ruby Sunday, 25 out of 50. Empire of Death, 6 out of 50. Joy to the World, 5 out of 50. The Robot Revolution, 12.5 out of 50. Lux, 9.5 out of 40. The Well, 27 out of 50. The Story in the Engine, 1 out of 50. The Interstellar Song Contest, 6.5 out of 50. Wish World, 2 out of 50. And it ends with the Reality War with 0 out of 50. So that's what the Whotastic panel gave the entire Gatwa era. The Well is one of the highest with 2750, but the one that takes away the wooden spoon with 29 out of 50 is 73 yards, and Gatwa wasn't even in it.
Yeah.
And the reason
that says a lot, doesn't it? Yeah.
The reason it got that was Millie Gibson.
Yeah.
Who has to be the standout out of this incredibly bad era. What do you think?
Yeah. Definitely, she's the star of the show. Definitely,
yeah.
A phenomenal little talent there, wasn't she?
Yeah. All the best for her in her future career. Definitely, yeah.
Hopefully, this won't damage it.
Yeah.
Well, remember she's got this new thing coming out. I think it's later this year, isn't it? Which I'm going to watch.
The Forsyth Saga.
Yeah, I used to love that. You remember the one in the 90s with all those wonderful actors?
Yeah.
I used to like that on ITV. So I'm going to have a look in on this on Channel 5 because they've had great success with All Creatures Great and Small, one of my favourites. And they've also done that other Yorkshire thing, which I haven't got into yet. And they've had some nice dramas on this. I'm going to look into that. So good for Millie, but that isn't that interesting though. But good for The Well as well. I know PTA liked that. A couple of other viewers liked it as well. It did well for.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad in comparison. Yeah.
It was nearly Doctor Who.
Nearly, yeah.
Nearly.
She was good though.
Right. She was brilliant, wasn't she? Yeah, really good. But I think out of this whole era, I'm going to be taking away The Well and 73 Yards as near misses, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
One thing I don't want to ever hear of again is Rogue. What an insult.
Yeah. Oh, with the zoom background there.
Absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, yeah.
Is he in hell? Was he meant to be in hell or something?
He was supposed to be in hell, wasn't he? The doctor
Yeah.
sent him down to something like hell. But I never want to hear from that whole. I mean, this era is not going to count for me, guys. I can't speak for you, but this is not Doctor Who for me, and I'm not going to count it. And he's not the Doctor. I don't want to hear anything about Rogue. Trying to make a male version of River Song, who also I can't be done with, quite frankly, all that lovey-dovey crap. Makes
that's effectively what it was, wasn't it? It was River Song, male version, definitely. Yeah,
because they were trying to make this Doctor Camilla.
I saw it more as a Timu version of Captain Jack.
Yeah, it was a mix of them though. But when you look at I'd say when you look at the romance side of it was because they wanted to do the other coin. Because remember, they're trying to make this version of the Doctor representative.
Yeah,
we're all over old poo. I have to say, load of old poo. Let's get into.
I think sexualizing the Doctor was a massive mistake. That was completely pointless. Yeah.
But it did start with McGann.
Yeah, but that was only a kiss, But
it was quite a horrible one at the end, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it did start with McGann. I hate all that lovey-dovey. The Doctor's an alien, and I think it's very patronising from these alleged people in the industry that they have to have the Doctor now being some sort of sexual object or have some sort of sexuality to make him understandable to the audience. We don't need that.
But that's missing the point. The Doctor is meant to be an outsider, meant to be different, all kind of stuff. It's really weird.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's absolutely what I'm saying. What's this from Willimus Rex? What's all that thizzing noise on the gay gowy sound? Don't know. If I've got noise on this, I don't know what it's about. I don't know.
Was that a really unfortunate description of yourself, GT? That was a bit offensive.
Yeah. I've had worse. Rose is with us. Hello, Rose Kirby. Even though I like Billy Piper, doesn't the image make you think of the Teletubbies saying hello? Makes me think of also. And Kev Gresham is saying he's lying. This will be Gatwa. He was given a 5-year tender, but the production team, who, after exploiting him with their agenda, then discovered that with falling ratings, he got out. Of course he got out. Absolutely he got out. And he was able to because they can't give him the absolute green light. Here's your 3rd-year option. So he would have had, I mean, don't forget, it was all filmed back to back. So he would have probably have had the standard offer of how many episodes he had to do with an option.
Yeah.
And they've split it into 2 series. So it wasn't a 2-series deal. It was, 16, 17 episodes with an option. And he hasn't taken up the option, which is his right.
No.
Yeah.
And therefore mucked up Russell's plans. We get that ridiculous ending. Great to see you all in the chat. Thanks for staying with us as we look at this review of this terrible season, series 2. Nightman saying even 0 is too generous. Can we get negative points? We had a lot of them. We had a lot of negative points there, but from you guys in the chat. We've seen a lot of Tennant lately, says Jason Parker, sadly. Yeah, far too much. Well, thank you, Mr. Toxic Tennant, but you can take your TQ lectures with you. We just have to get through Cryptic Kate Stewart, then no more RTD. We've got the fish people thing on the way. Stay with us because, of course, we're going to be talking about when it's arriving. We're going to be previewing it, and of course, we're going to be reviewing it. So come and join us for that. It looks like it's going to be a little bit heavier than Doctor Who, and Disney seem to be really going for it when it comes to promotion.
Oh.
They've done the trailer there. They're saying it's a new drama for them, etc., etc. Let's see how that goes. Lots of praise for Millie. If she ever tuned in, well done, Millie.
She should have had 2 proper seasons. I think
I was going to say I didn't like the way she was just dropped off at the end of the first one for whatever reason. Yeah. Why wasn't she just there for the full Gatwa era as it's now known? Why? I just think it was.
I mean, like I said, it always felt like it was the same season, rather than 2 seasons. So she should have been in all of it, really, to be honest.
They just
forget
wanted
Belinda,
different-
but
They just wanted different representation. That's what I'm sure of it.
I'm inclined to agree with you. They spotted her when she was doing Boom. Oh, hello. She's quite good. Oh, we like her. Ticks a box. It wouldn't surprise me because that's them all to a T. DI all the way through. Can't stand this. Mark A. Wright, how embarrassing for their egos that they were all dragged back to Penarth a year after they'd wrapped to wind down the show as nobody wanted it.
Yeah.
They must have all thought, what? When they got the call to call everybody back, every single one of them must have gone, pardon? What? What have you done? I would have done, wouldn't you? Benign Crinoid is saying to us, oh, God, 5 years of Gatwa Who, I would have needed to lie down. Yeah. This was enough. This was enough, wasn't it? And PTA,
more than enough.
Yeah. Davros gave RTD his escape shuttle. Well, let's hope that he stays off the air longer than Davros did.
Yeah.
And we've also got Marie UK with a super chat. Doctor Who never needed to be adjusted for a modern audience. Doctor Who travels through time, past, present, and future. And I totally agree with you. And from my perspective, I can't stand this lecturing. I can't stand this looking down at everybody thinking we know what's best for you, or we think you're thick. We've got to explain this for you. No, you don't. We get it, and I think the public gets it. So I
don't talk down to your audience. That's the thing,
Exactly, and that's all they've done, and that's why the audience never came along, and that's why the BBC's in trouble. David Tennant is not the Doctor, says Darkhole anymore. Oh yeah, well it's his own fault, isn't it? And Doug Anderson saying, do the panel think RTD regrets swapping the original planned actor for Ncuti? Probably.
Yeah.
He'll never admit it, though.
No.
Of course he
won't. Allegedly casting by using your loins, allegedly. So.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have even thought it was that. I just think it's a case of, oh, look, he's queer. Oh, and he ticks a box. Let's go for it. Yeah. Remember who was around him? You had Phil Constant and you had bloody Andy Pryor.
Yeah.
All the same clique. So thanks, Doug. It'll all come out in the wash. Stay with us. And Ashley Cherry, when I first got into the show, I liked Tennant, but he's just too much now. He is. It's going to be difficult when we start to come back to looking at Tennant episodes on this show, because I'm going to have to take away the fact that it's David Tennant.
Yeah.
Jem is with us, Jem Goodrick. It's because Millie actually decided to leave. Some original quotes indicated Millie was staying around as the companion for 2 seasons, but that changed just before series 2.
But there was nothing to go away from, was there? Because they were filmed at the same time.
There were rumours of a bit of a conflict, wasn't there, between some of the casting and things, some of the actors?
There was, there was. There was that. As I say, one of the benefits of having the show off air is we know from last time round is that people start to talk. And give it a year or two. If this show's not back next year, if it's not back the year after, that's when they'll start to talk, because there's money in books, there's money in convention appearances, there's money in the stories, there's money in the tabloids, there's money. And I can't wait. I can't wait. Mark Milford, nice to see you. Fail to connect with the audience and they drift, try to dictate their thoughts and they walk, blame them for not enjoying it and they've gone for good. Telling everyone is brilliant, you're RTD. Yeah. And Atom's with us. Hello, Atom. Nice to see you. The most egregious thing about this season is that Bad Wolf, the BBC, and RTD's art department stole my seal of Omega. I drew that based on blurry images of it back in 2019. I just did a podcast about it. So you came up with that one, because I looked at it and I thought that's not necessarily what he was wearing in 83. And it's certainly not the emblem that Bob had approved for his return of Omega. More of that on another show. Stay with us. It's certainly not the same one there, and I just thought, what are they doing? Where have they got that from? So it was you, was it, Atom? Oh, well,
they're always stealing ideas, allegedly. Look at Davros, anyway. But,
look at everything. Look at this entire season, and it's continuous. And it was my work. I took liberties with it, and that's a fact. That seal did not exist before I drew it that way. Before that, it wasn't a symbol of Omega. It was just a prop from the costume.
Well, you just have to
look
look
at the chest unit that Ian Collier's Omega wore.
Yeah.
You have to look at the fish people though that are in this land and sea thing and compare them to Darryl Joyce's Iridian.
Yeah, that's the point. Mark Milford, thank you for your super chat. The last 8 years was the Wilderness Years 2.0. A lot of fans have been saying that this week as well, haven't they? Saying a lot. Look, we haven't invested in the Doctor either. So we've got used to him not being there. I can understand that. I wasn't there for Whittaker. I wish I hadn't been there for Gatwa because it was just bloody painful, honestly. And hello and welcome to Almain Diligence. Nice to see you here on Who's Views. A Black Doctor Who lacks masculinity and toxic masculinity. That would make this show interesting. Something's got to make it interesting because none of us are interested in it at the moment, especially the public.
It's going to take some doing, I think.
It's going to take huge doing.
Yeah.
There's something that we mentioned Susan earlier, but I just want to show this picture.
Yeah.
That's what she would have been wearing in the last episode, everybody. So we are led to believe. That's Caroline on set.
It does look like slightly futuristic clothing, doesn't it? A little bit.
Slightly, yes. Slightly. But again, another plot line that was just a waste of time.
I wonder if they'll drop in deleted scenes from the last episode on YouTube at some point. Yeah.
Not a chance. You're not going to get it because it's going to confuse the issue, isn't it? So somewhere that'll be put in a safe or a hold, and it will not be allowed out. Because if they show what was originally supposed to do and he brings it back, God forbid.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Not going to be allowed. God. I think we're all exhausted after watching it all, aren't we, though?
Yeah.
Marine Boy 1966, good to see you. What does a new companion need to be like? Hasn't everything been tried? And all the modern ones just seem to be really annoying. From my point of view, Belinda is going to be one of those companions I never remember. A bit like Bill. Shallow. And Bill had 13 episodes?
Yeah. And she had lots of character development. She was a lesbian, by the way, wasn't she? So
you beat me to it.
I got you. Yeah.
But again, these are they're so shallow. I'm not going to remember. I would rather have Millie had been there as Ruby for these last episodes to have that sort of body of work, as it were, rather than a character that just didn't mean anything and wasn't even in a couple of them properly. What's the point? What was the point of that?
They really need to try having a different human companion from a different time period. I'm disappointed they've never tried that once. When there's Clara from the kind of Victorian time, Clara as a barmaid, that was brilliant. That could have been a really good a different character. But they seem to be afraid of doing that, even just initially.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Chris Lawley, thank you for your super chat. After Graham Norton's interview, Gatwa's manager got him realizing Disney was out as average people were not watching. No more Doctor Who for at least 2 years. Thank you for that. Duncan the Funky Evans is saying Belinda Who. Adrian Sherlock is also saying Bellender. There's a lot of stuff coming along. Alfie Jack's given us another super chat there as well. Caroline Ford would talk at some point. She's not shy. Caroline Ford isn't shy, and she's going to be doing some conventions here in the UK later this month and into next month.
Yeah, so things may creep out. Yeah.
I'm hoping Carol sits there and gives everybody the absolute truth, as I'm sure she will, because a little part of them must be thinking, what a waste of my time. There's a theme to the particular review. Have you noticed what a waste of time it all is? I was talking there very quickly. I mentioned a body of work, everybody, and how I wished that Ruby had been Series 2 to have that body of work. We've now got our own body of work, because as a first here on the channel, we can actually tell you that we now have the entire Ncuti Gatwa era available for you here on the channel. From the Church of Ruby Road to this very show, The Final End. So you've got all the episodes reviewed, and you've got 2 shows at the end. The season 1 review called It's Over, and then this one that we're doing right now, which is called The Final End, as you know. It's all there. The entire Gatwa era is available here on Who's Views, everyone. And I'm saying that a lot earlier than I expected. I expected next year to be saying that, I have to be honest.
We should be thankful for small mercies then.
Yeah. Back at the start of 2024, I thought he'll probably do 3. They'll get the money for a third. And then we started to watch it, and I thought, oh, this might be ending sooner than I thought. But there we go.
We have the Billy Piper era to look forward to. There we go.
It's not going to happen, is it? It's really not going to happen, everybody. But wow. It was, I'm going to say it again, a huge waste of time. But he's free now. There was his post from last Saturday night, Sunday morning, where he said thank you for it all on his Instagram 15 from Ncuti Gatwa's Instagram. He's gone.
Did he say something along the lines of "I love you all" or something like that? Obviously, he hadn't seen all the press then. So that not everyone loved him, to be fair. So.
No. Well, he's gone. He's finished, and that's it. What a waste of time that was, everybody. Absolute waste of time. Wasn't it just? We are going to do one more thing before we go, and it's something that we've not done on a season overview before, but I can't help myself. We're going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to ask the panel for their scores on the TARDIS doors for the entire second series. Out of 10, as usual, what will you give Gatwa Series 2, his final series, RTD2, Disney Who 2, out of 10? We'll start with the lady of the chat, Kirsty, go.
I'm going to give it a 1 because of the bone castle thingamajig that the Rannies had at the end, and
the Bone Palace.
The Bone Palace, and the assistants that they had them with the cyberpunk style looking thing. I thought that was amazing, and for the photos that I have seen from the Robot Revolution, what you were showing as well earlier on of the incel guy with all the stuff on his face. So I can appreciate a lot of folks have come in and it's not just been CGI, it's actually been sets and makeup and prosthetics and a lot of design and hard work, which looked really cool. So 1 kudos for the designers, but a big fat 0 for everything else.
So 1 out of 10 for the entire series from Kirsty. Paul, what are you going to give series 2?
This is a really tough one because it'd be easy for me to just say 0, because of the finale for a start, because that was absolutely bloody awful. It really was. But Kirsty seemed to be very reasonable, which is unusual, I'd say. But but some of the things you mentioned, there are some visual things in that are really good. I love the robots in Robot Revolution; they were quite fun. And the guy, the incel guy at the end was really good as well in terms of the way it looked. A lot of good visuals, but because it just doesn't feel like Doctor Who for me, So I am going to have to give it 0 because that was crap, really, to be honest.
And third Doctor, Ian, what are you going to give it?
Bugger all. It's not Doctor Who at all. It's horrible, rubbish, nasty. And being a straight white male, it preached that me and my kind are the problem, and
several times actually.
Yeah. And that is nothing. I like a TV program that once existed called Doctor Who. This wasn't it. Therefore, I cannot give it anything. 0 from me.
Well, I'm exactly the same, of course, as third Doctor, Ian, and Paul. Wasn't Doctor Who, big fat 0. I never want to see it again. Never want to see it again. And I certainly don't want RTD. Don't care if you're watching. Leave Doctor Who alone. Go away. Go and do your TQ cult nonsense for Channel 4. Stay there. Leave Doctor Who alone. BBC Studios, if you're watching, get somebody in that knows what Doctor Who is, please. If you want to try and bring it back, it can still be successful. It will earn you money, but it has to be recognisable. Doctor Who with a good lead actor. Give over with your DEI crap. We don't want a woman in the role. Put a guy in the role that can be the Doctor. We need an actor, and we need somebody who can write scripts. Let's go to the chat and see what's going on. Richard Brooks, for the entire second series, I award a 0. 1 out of 10 from Digital Pollution. Alfie Jack is saying 0, zilk, nothing, nada. 1 out of 10 from Robert Payne for the entire series. Philip is giving the entire series 0. Frankie Staniger, 2 out of 10. 1.5 says PTA. What have we got? There's Sliver Wolf said, don't do it. Remember, minuses are available. Cool Boys Backyard, 1 for turning up on set. Dot Martin, 0. Duncan, the Funky Evans, 1. Legion of James, 0. It wasn't Doctor Who. Benign Crinoid, I give it a big fat number 2. Matthew Pounder, 0. Woodhouse 122, 2. What else we got there? Julie Goodwin, 0. Nil Nout Bugger All. Tony Graydon, good to see you. Ultimate TV, I put this up before, but I'll read it out for you. Ncuti said Doctor Who was an amazing job, but was it really? He left really fast. Yeah, his agents probably had a lot to do with it. -10. Says whole lot of video. Dr. Dread, a very healthy 0. Jane Smee, 2. The season as a whole simply didn't make sense, so I'm rating it lower than most of the individual episodes. It was a waste of time, wasn't it, love? Jess, Less than anything that Zero delivers. Lock him up in the Pandorica. 0 out of 10 for Sliver Wolf. That being kind, because I can't give it a minus. You can, so I'll say -0 for you if you want. Adrian Sherlock, can you imagine real Doctor Who was like this? Sarah Jane looks for a birth mother. Joe Grant dates a wrong un. Leela has a secret daughter. The brig comes out the closet. It would be a soap opera, yeah? Yeah. True. And it wouldn't have lasted 26 years.
Yeah.
God.
Whoopie Toodle Do. It's Scott Andrew Brass is giving it a pile of poo out of 10. John is giving it 1 out of 10 for the improved production values over season 1, but I'm glad it's all over. What else have we got here as well? Marjorie is saying 2 out of 10, 1 for Pertwee and 1 for Susan. The nice visuals were just tinsel.
I forgot about Day of the Daleks being in it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Marine Boy 1966, 1 out of 10 because Lux and the Well had glimpses of what it could have been. Kev Gresham, 2 out of 10, only for the backstage staff whose talent was wasted on this crap. Hope they get employed by the new Harry Potter franchise. I think that's something different, but some of them might have done. You never know. 1 out of 10 from Lex Kane, just for Carol Ann Ford. Everything else was rubbish. Gat was smiling. The last scene in the finale was very scary. It was RTD doing his best of 2007, 8, and 9. So long, RTD. Don't come back. Marie UK is giving it 1 for the members of staff behind the scenes. Stuart Barham is 2, 1 for the set designers and 1 for Millie Gibson. Foreign Movie Lover 1 for showing the classic Doctors and the story in the engine. I'm over that now. I don't want to see them ever again. I love them, but I don't want to see them again because I've did too many flashbacks. And so Rosie Mead is saying, enjoyed the series reviews here, which convert and elsewhere. What do you mean and elsewhere? Where else? How bizarre. What's she saying there? I don't understand. Which confirmed I did right by letting the Doctor go. What's she saying? What does she mean? And David Gulvin is saying 0 out of 10, toxic start to finish. Stephen O'Neill is pushing the rumours that have been around this week. We know it's not going to happen. Who's going to pay for it? There is no money at the moment to do any more Doctor Who. When you see people saying that, ask them who's paying for it, because it's not Bad Wolf, it's not BBC Studios, and it's not the BBC, and the Disney money has gone.
Yeah, there are rumours they're talking about, or speculation that she's a watchery type character, Billy, but yeah. Like you say, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Yeah.
Chris Lawley is saying 0. It wasn't Doctor Who. Didn't even register to Jason Parker. No number is low enough for this. Gav B is giving it a 0 out of 10. Couldn't even bring myself to watch it. So thanks, guys, for your sacrifice. You're very welcome. It's been a long week. I am absolutely shouted. Yeah. Dylan. Hello, Dylan. Have you been watching? How are you? 0-10. I want proper Doctor Who, not DEI nonsense. Don't we all? We all? Lovely to see you, Dylan. Yeah. Chorus Sci-Fi and Fancy 0 out of 0, not Doctor Who. -infinity from Nightman. Ooh, that's a lot. Paul Schlefter is saying, I'll never watch it again. Back to Classic Who. Now, that's interesting because there's an awful lot of fans there that for this was the last straw, possibly myself included. Yeah. And if it ever does come back, if it hasn't got a strong lead, a strong producer, a strong production, and I can't see myself going to watch it because Doctor Who for me died years ago.
Yeah.
Disturbance film TV 1 out of 10. You can roll a turd and glitter. It might look nice, but it still stinks. And Driftport Entertainment 1 based on the designs of sets. Adrian Sherlock 0 because it was EastEnders with a phone box. Yeah. And Stephen Braddock saying sorry, but that was not Doctor Who at all. I appreciate all the production staff on Millie, but that isn't enough to not give it a big fat 0. Rose Kirby is saying to us, hey, will you ever do a rundown of conventions in the UK? Where's Who appearing, please, when you're reviewing the Sea Devils? We are going back to Pertwee, thank God. With the Sea Devils, it'll be along soon. We'll be announcing this week when we're going to be doing that. We've got to sort out the date, but stay with us, everybody. Merrick Wells is saying to us, I can't score it. I was too busy touching grass. Good for you, Merrick, because that's what you were told to do. Ian Scales as fan fiction had interesting ideas. 4. But fan fiction was the way. It should have been in a book, and then I could have ignored it. Yeah. Anthony Green saying the first 3 episodes showed improvement on Series 1, then it fell apart. So 3.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Demorpin joining us with a -10. The spite and hatefulness in the writing left a terrible taste in the mouth. Nice to see you, Demorpin. Sheila B in the devotions, nothing. It wasn't worth a jot. Who, where? 2 out of 16 because I sort of liked 2 episodes. Okay, so 2, 1 for each episode. That's fine. If you like the 2 episodes, good for you. I wonder if it's the same one as the panel. Dalek I never watched a second of this rubbish. From what I've heard, 0 out of 10. You guys deserve a medal. I know. You can get in touch with us at whosviews1@gmail.com if you're from the palace.
I'll only accept a knighthood, that's all I'm saying. So.
Yeah. Mark A. Rice, an unforgivable dog's breakfast of an ending culminating a woeful RTD2 comeback. Don't come again, Russell. Try celibacy for a while. 0 out of 10. Oof. And David Mackay saying 0 out of 10. A horrible desecration of everything that Doctor Who ever was. Oh, that's well said. That's well said. Richard Brooks is asking, will Sony have to put some cash in? Nothing to do with Sony. Doctor Who has nothing to do with Sony.
Sony's owed money, I would say.
Headlines. Going to be very interesting, I think, over the next few weeks. Stay with us. Chris Lawley, 10 for Doug a Do song and 2 Ronnie's joke. Sod the rest. 2 Ronnie's joke. That was quite funny, that one, wasn't it? Lost on anybody outside the UK. Reverend Steve Armory, 0. I can't give a high score. It's not Doctor Who, and you asked me to score Doctor Who. Yes, thank you so much. Who Where is saying to us, if they make a new test special, they need to invite every reviewer that gave poor critiques to the show, better gauge of what is correct Doctor Who. The thing is, we'd know if it was a good Doctor Who just by the lead actor.
Yeah.
If you're going to scrape the barrel, you're not getting a good show. If they get a high quality, good performer, the scripts are going to be okay. And then we've got to look at the format and everything. And Doug Anderson, 3, maybe 4 for some better stories in the first half, for the physical production work and for Millie. Bill Lowry saying I can't score as I didn't watch, and he's proud of that. And Josh H, hi Josh, 2 out of 10, but some aspects of it do not deserve a numerical ranking. Any more for Evermore? Yes, there is. Azabalo Golath, 10 out of 10. Less straight white males on screen. For Shooty Skirt is a lot shorter. Okay.
That has to be a thing.
Okay. Any more for any more in there?
No.
Oh, well, Rose is saying I'll give it 7 out of 10 for the earworm Doug a Do. Don't make me laugh. Mrs. Flood saying it's a good night for me. Would have loved a happier landing though. Okay.
That was such a predictable line. I mean, I said it the week before it was actually quoted. Honestly.
Yeah, you did say that, didn't you? Well, listen, it's been 8 great weeks in a sense for us on the channel here. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody that found us through our reviews of this crap and stayed with us and subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much for that. To everybody that had already subscribed, thank you for joining in and being there for us over the 8 weeks, 9 if you include this one, as we've watched this.
Yeah,
I'm glad it's done.
Yeah,
and as I say, the entire Ncuti Gatwa era from Who's Views is available on the RTD2 playlist. We also include in that the 3 David Tennant episodes from 2023. It's all there for you. I'm exhausted with it. I'm absolutely delighted that it's all gone. Stay with us here on the channel because we do have a lot more coming up for you. In reviews next, as you know, it's going to be the Sea Devils and Battlefield. Lots of other stuff coming up for you. If you're a Blake 7 fan, tomorrow here at the channel, 8 o'clock, Blake 7, Series 1, Episode 6. And Headlines will be this week as well. So come and join us for Headlines. Next Sunday, Headlines will be moving back to its Sunday slot at 8 o'clock. So next Sunday, you're going to be getting some more headlines because I think there's going to be quite a few. You never know, do you? To Kirsty, to Paul and Third Doctor Ian, and of course to Emilio, thank you very much for joining me again for this as we round off the Ncuti Gatwa era. That's it, done.
Hooray!
Well, this was fun. That wasn't, but this was fun.
Yes,
this was fun. To RTD, get the message.
Bug it off.
To Ncuti,
Boo.
nice try.
Thank you.
Nice try. Didn't work. And thank you for telling us all to go and touch grass and then eventually doing it yourself. The irony is not lost on us. We know exactly what you were saying there. It's good to see you all. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back very soon. Stay with us on the channel. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world to us. If you want to get in touch with us, you can. It's whosviews1@gmail.com. whosviews1@gmail.com. From all of us on the channel, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been a long 8 weeks. Really has been long. Don't forget, we're also going to be looking at this fish thing that's coming up. Could do it all again with that. Let's see if that's an improvement, shall we? I'm so excited. See you tomorrow for Blake 7, everyone. Ta-ra.
Okay, everyone, bye-bye.